Hello and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is Dave and I will be your keeper of arcane lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. Today we are continuing our playthrough of Nameless Horrors with Bleak Prospect, and this will be the final session of this scenario. You can get your own copy of the book over at chaosium.com, and you can find all of our collected VODs over on the Chaosium YouTube channel. If you're watching there, we do stream live each week at 5 p.m. Pacific on Twitch. I'd like to give a thank you to Sirenscape and Roll20 for being tools which we use to improve our game. And without further ado, let's hurtle headfirst right back into the scenario. In this story, our protagonists are all playing, they're all investigators in the Great Depression, so things are tough, hence the name of the scenario. And over the last two sessions, they have realized there is a conspiracy afoot. There is a cabal of powerful people known as the Midas Circle who appear to be abducting people, running tests and trials on them. They seem to somehow be able to resist the economic downfall and somehow prosper. And most recently, this has directly impacted the investigators because a child has been taken and drawn away to somewhere known as Prospect House, which some of the investigators do seem to have ties to from their past. When we're going to pick up, Maureen Frine, whose daughter is the one that's missing, and Carl Rothstein have stolen a car from one Alex Rosetti and driven out to Prospect House. On the way, they will just so happen to run into one Arthur Priestley, who was in the first session and not the second, who had taken advantage of the distraction caused by Dr. Coombs to flee the town and make their own way doggedly towards Prospect House before being picked up by the companions and can arrive with them there. Simple as that. And our final investigator, Dr. Coombs, had a bad fumble at the end of the first session, and that has transitioned into a kind of full-blown hostage situation. He will be traveling with Mr. Rosetti, as well as Captain Delure and another cop called Wilson, and he'll arrive at Prospect House just shortly after, and we'll just see how this all unfolds. Why don't we herd around the table and everyone sort of like reintroduce investigators, show how they're looking in this scene as we pick them back up, and we'll get back into it. Art, do you want to begin, I guess, with the context of you've been walking along the side of the road for like 4 hours and only just about to be picked up?
Hi, I'm Art. I'm playing Arthur Priestley, who, was an investigative journalist before the Depression hit.
GD.
Whose husband recently died from a strange disease. His husband was convinced that there was some conspiracy going on. Arthur didn't think so. Now Arthur definitely thinks so. Mm-hmm. Has gotten into all kinds of hijinks and breaking and entering in kind of like a fervent desire to find out exactly what the heck is going on here.
Yep.
Probably much like Art this morning, tired and a little confused. That's pretty much how Arthur's doing.
It's the default
Which
state.
makes it easy to roleplay.
There we go. Well, channel the energy. Let's whip across to Jackson.
Hey, I'm Jackson, and I'm playing Maureen, last name Frine. Maureen Frine, a Southern belle who fell on hard times after the death of her husband. But her husband's dying. That's something that happens. But she's been kept alive by the light of her life, a daughter who has now been captured and subject to hideous experiments. So let's see what we can do about that.
Let's make that stop happening. Terrific. Let's go across to Jim.
Absolutely. I'm Dr. Nathaniel Coombs. I started off this scenario thinking I'd lost everything, but I've lost so much more. I've got a major wound, a huge welt on the side of my face. I've managed to drive away all of my former colleagues, lose access to the medicine I was trying to get to the poor people who've fallen on hard times. I got infected by a weird, rashy alien thing, and now they won't let me leave this terrible coffee house.
But you're having fun. That's the most important thing through all of this.
Now, here's the thing, actually.
Actually, it sucks. I hate it here. All right, terrific. Let's go across to Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I am playing Professor Carl Rothstein, a physicist who spent a long time looking into space, but does so no longer since he was fired. Nobody really needs astrophysicists in the Great Depression. So he has, however, been continuing his work as much as he can with the help of one young lady, the daughter of our Southern Belle, who has gone missing and is now working with her fervently to recover the child. And we have just pulled up at a house that belonged to his former colleague, who went missing and is a little bit unsettled about all this, but he's hoping that there's a window we can jump through, because that's pretty much all I've been succeeding at up to this point.
Yeah, tends to be a good strategy. Yeah, you did. There's been a lot of window rolls. It seems to be a critical part of the game. All right, so where we're going to return, last session ended with this diner and two of you fleeing out through the bathroom. So Maureen and Carl make a break for Rosetti's car and peel out, heading for Prospect House with the hopes of arriving before Rosetti and any of the others can get there. On the way, as I mentioned, you will find Arthur Priestley walking along the side of the road doggedly, you know, shoes worn down to the heels and sort of, you know, muttering to themselves, I'm sure, and just trying to make their own way. You can pull over, pick them up, and with the snap of fingers, you arrive shortly at Prospect House. So we'll set the scene before Nathaniel Coombs and the others arrive. It's late at night. It's well past midnight at this point. There is a sort of semicircle of a moon that's beginning to be covered by clouds high above, and a heavy iron gate surrounds the property. The interior is choked with weeds and vines, and you can find the front gate has a newer lock that has been placed around it, a very heavy looking piece, and there is some signs of cars coming and going at different periods. The lights from the car pick up in the distance the silhouette of the large manor house, which looks to be sort of slightly sunken down into the ground and choked as well with vines. There's a couple of other smaller buildings along the exterior, maybe sheds or something similar, but no immediate and easy way inside. Wrought into the ironwork, you will see the phrase Prospect House. And this is the property of one Professor Hawkes, who both Carl Rothstein and Maureen were. Carl was a colleague, and Maureen, it was another socialite that you'd attended events at in the past. So this is a almost unrecognizable property, but you do know that you have been here some time ago, but under very different circumstances. Now, the three of you don't know how long you have before the others arrive, and you are driving a car that should be very recognizable, as it is his. What would the three of you like to do?
Find a place to stash it in some trees.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not drive up to the front door. Let's leave it in some trees further down the road.
Okay. That's easily done. If you want to spend the time to position it for a quick escape or something, that will take more time and possibly a roll.
Very much
If
so.
you want to just dump
Very
it,
much,
that can be
yes.
done. Okay, in that case, I'll probably ask for a drive auto test from someone to position it in a grove of trees and facing in an appropriate direction.
Probably the one driving.
Okay,
I
go
believe
for
that
it.
was you, yes.
Well, all right then.
All right,
Good
and
start. Good
Jackson's
start for the
back
session.
on his bullshit. Yeah, Maureen, as just coming in, handbrake, turn right off the road into the stand of trees, reverse it back, and perfectly positioned. From where you are, if you can get through the main gates or find a section to clamber over in the event of a hasty exit, which who knows, you should be able to quickly get inside and peel out. It's also not remotely visible unless you come hunting for it. Well disguised.
Thank you. I did my best, and it all
Did a
worked
good
out.
job.
Yeah, it's all on the click action. And those
Yeah,
digital
yeah.
dice.
Just gotta give it the...
There's a real trick to it.
And you mastered it.
Is there any ways to get into this house that are more unseen than others?
What do you mean?
As in, like, So you said we arrived at somewhere with, like, it's a gated off house, yeah?
Yeah, it's a large property. There's like some gardens and things on the interior, and there is a huge gate that goes all around the outside. There is no immediately visible like side entrance or unlocked passage. Currently, you're looking at like trying to climb over the fence, which has those nasty looking barbs at the top of it, or break the lock or something to get through. Unless you want to pitch something else. You could do a
Is there
full
a
circuit
window?
of the outside. Once you're inside, you are not at the building yet. This is just getting into the property. Like there is a fence around the perimeter. You know, a tall, like
Yeah.
spiky looking, nasty number.
We do like a once around the perimeter to see if there are like, you know, depending on if this is an old property and the gate, while the lock is new, the like fencing itself is the same age as the property. Are there any like bars of the gates that have gotten a bit rusted over the
Sure.
years? Like, is
Or
there anything that is
possibly a
sort of-
servant's entrance or a delivery entrance for, you know, if it's an older property, something like that.
100%?
Knowing that this was knowing the owner was a scientist as well, who may have had things delivered.
Yeah, nope, 100%. That absolutely works.
It's true.
So would the three of you like to do a circuit of the perimeter?
That's a good place to start. Let's do
Okay.
that.
All right. You unload from the car, gather up your equipment, and close the doors. Shouldering bags, you turn on a couple of small flickering torches and begin to pick your way the perimeter. This will be a fairly, it's the most thorough way to do it, but this will take time. And as you begin to move your way around, you will see coming up the road another set of lights, and not too long after, another car pulls up towards the main entrance. Now, Jim, is there anything you want to have done on the drive over? Once again, you are in the back with Captain Delure, who is looking less and less confident in events as they are unfolding. Wilson is in the passenger seat, and Rosetti has got his, almost completely unbuttoned shirt off. He's got the gun, just loosely jammed in under the side, and is sort of thumping on the wheel as he approaches.
There's a lot I'd like to do, Dave, but I'd also kind of not like to roll.
Yeah.
And those two things feel a little,
At odds with one another.
not marriable. So what I might say is that riding on my previous charm checks, I've just continued to suck up to Rosetti as best I can, and I'm biding my time. And we'll see if I bite it far too long, and then when I try to do something, realize that I've bited it all away into nothing.
Okay, no worries. Well, in that case, then you continue to sort of talk a little bit, but you're not pushing your luck. Rosetti, as you get closer and closer to Prospect House, seems to fall into... The energy level kind of drops a bit, and he becomes focused, kind of determined, staring out. And as the high beams of the police car sweep across the gate, you see that Prospect House wrought in iron, and the building further away. He sits there for a moment, just staring out at the building over the humming engine, and it looks as though he's peering through the darkness and trying to spot something moving inside the property. I'll actually ask you to make a spot hidden check of your own at this point.
Certainly. I thought I could get away without rolling, but it would seem that it's pulled me back in. No, here we go. All right, spot hidden coming right up. Sorry, just one moment. There we go.
Peering out.
Nope.
You think you can see some rustling in some of the bushes and things, but the wind's picked up a bit in the chill evening, and no sign of anything clear, at least. Nothing that could be mistaken for a silhouette. Actually, a lot that could be mistaken for one, but nothing that's clearly identified as something.
Could I try a psychology check on Rosetti and maybe try and reverse engineer what he's looking for? Is he expecting to see something leaping out? Is he expecting to see something hostile? Is he expecting to see... What's the direction he's going?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and give me a psychology roll.
Okay. Just not feeling it today. The swollen eye is a little...
And if I remember correctly, you are sitting on literally 0 luck. So there is no
I
opportunity.
literally 0 luck, yes.
You could possibly push this roll, but as we said before, this would probably be, letting out, it would become clear to Rosetti that you're trying to pry a little bit closer. So unless you want to do that, you try and study him, and you find him very unreadable for a short period at least. He peers out towards it and then shakes himself from the stupor, turns around to Wilson and says, take this key, open the gate, we'll drive through. Wilson gets out of the car, walks over, fits a key into the latch and unshackles it. There's the rattle of chains as they are drawn through the gate, and then he steps forward to haul it. The whole thing creaks as rust breaks away from it, and the gate is open wide enough for the car to begin to pull through. As it enters the lot and drives up towards the main house, Wilson steps inside and will go to reclose the gate as well, but he will be walking up to approach the house. It's a reasonably long driveway, so it will take him a little while, and the whole time Rosetti is focused on the house at the furthest farthest point on the driveway. Delure has his head on a swivel and he's peering out the window next to you, studying the darkness and trying to look for anything out there. Did you want to clarify something?
Yeah, just because the fuck. Who is Wilson? And who is Wilson the police sergeant and Delore is the police captain?
Yes, Delore is the police captain. Wilson is a goon. He is a police officer, but he is not the one that was spoken to previously. He seems to be a follow orders kind of fella.
Right, so just two members of the now obviously
local...
very corrupt police force.
Absolutely, that's
great.
Bang on.
Oh, let's not jump to conclusions about how corrupt they are. I mean,
let's hope
the
one of them
evidence
has
is
a little...
stacked one way, but because we're not corrupt, we believe in due process, and they're innocent until.
The beams now flood across the house, and you can see a quite stately manor in a state of severe disrepair. White flaking paint drops around it. The whole thing seems to have slooped lower into the ground, and it's as if peering through at one of those 3D eye puzzles, because there's something about it that seems to be shifting ever so slightly when you're looking at it, as if on the peripheral of your vision, the edges are warping ever so slightly or bulging. But when you try and focus in, there's no evidence of shift. Rosetti will move to leave the car, but we'll go and check in on our other investigators first to see where everyone is positioned. So the three of you will see the car come forward, Wilson get out, open the gate, the car goes through, and then Wilson is going to move to close the gate once more. What would the three of you like to do?
We haven't got to the perimeter.
You were starting off it. You began to sweep around. I'm just saying there is an opportunity where the gate is open. You could rush Wilson and take him out and charge through, or you can continue your original strategy. Look for another point to enter.
Rush the goon.
Or is there a way to make him try and investigate something so we can sneak in?
The old rock
behind,
shark.
The old thief.
Yeah.
Yeet a rock. Huh?
Yeah. Distraction.
Break a glass or something. That works.
That should work perfectly.
Would that be a I know it's technically not psychology is reading people. What would
Throw?
Yeah,
I mean,
throw works for me. That's pretty good.
just
Just chucking
yeet.
the glass. It's probably getting yourself if you're looking to slide through, it'll probably be a stealth test from someone, and it can be given a bonus dice by someone else chucking a rock or making a distraction.
I foresee this ending with me getting sent to look at whatever the noise is and then falling into a spike trap or something like that.
Yeah. I have pretty good stealth, so if someone can distract the guy, then I can potentially sneak past and at least it's a lock that has a key to it, or
yeah, quite a thick key.
If there's any chance that he leaves the key in the lock, amazing. But if not, then see how
knowing
we go.
the
knowing the lock, no.
Yeah,
no,
and
yeah,
also
no,
he wouldn't. He's been told to seal it back up.
Yeah, toss it. We'll make a distract.
Okay.
Big distract. Just throw some shit that way.
So you see the car go past, and on the inside, and the ambient light, you will see Coombs studying Rosetti as they drive through. The three of you sort of hunch in bushes nearby, watch Wilson begin to close the door, and then Carl fumbles around for a heavy rock, reaches back and chucks it at the bars nearby, where it rattles off them, and Wilson's head immediately swings around to peer into the brush. Priestley, what do you want to do? Try and rush through, or rush the man, or...
No, I was hoping that he would go and investigate, and I could sneak in behind him briefly, or
Sure,
like
so
if
but
he
you
leans out to go and...
With the intent to get his ass or get through?
No, get through. Not get his ass. I am not an ass-getting...
Not an ass getter?
Maybe Maureen should go with then. Maybe only one of us should.
I'm tempted to go as well.
You
Yeah.
guys should go, yeah, because I have... My stealth successes have been pure flukes. Because I have 20 in that. So...
I mean, I guess the thing is we can both go, and if one of us doesn't make it, then we just don't make it and have to find another.
And I will find another way.
If you don't make it, he's spotting you, and he's gonna...
Okay.
He's been alerted. He's heard a loud noise. He moves to investigate. Can everyone attempting to move give me a stealth test with a bonus dice?
I'm sticking here.
Could I seize this opportunity to try and provide any kind of advantage to my companions? I'm surprised.
You failed the
probably.
spot hidden roll as well. You don't necessarily know that they're out there.
Yeah.
Nicely
both
done, though.
Successed.
Okay.
Successes thanks to the bonus die. Let's
Well
be clear.
handled. So Carl's ricocheting
What can I
rock
say except you're welcome.
pings off into the distance, and Wilson's head snaps around, and he, gripping the key and then putting another hand on the gun at his side, he steps out towards it. Now he will follow along the perimeter for a little ways, looking for what made the sound. And during this brief period, both Arthur and Maureen can slide through the gate and into the overgrown garden on the other side. You could attempt to compromise the lock or something as you're going through, but you don't have a large period of time. You are through and onto the inside of the property, though.
I don't
worry about it. I would have said first. I would have said beforehand, don't worry about me. I will find a way in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we can at least on the inside help Carl get in, because there'll be someone on the other side to, like, help. Hopefully. But
chuck a ladder or
just
something.
get in and have a look at what we can see now that we're on the other side of the fencing, and just a quick kind of like, is there a place to duck into the shadows and hide while we try and wait for Carl? Is this just fucking book it towards the house, because that's where there's kind of nothing between there?
Inclined to book it
Towards the house?
Probably won't wait for advice.
Okay. All right.
The contrary.
That's fair enough. Arthur is then torn between those two things. Like, well, Maureen, Miss, she's got to go that way, but also we need to make sure the Carl's with us, because there's so many of them and so few of us, and we need all the help we can get. And it's just
Mama
kind of
Bear's coming.
just kind of
this time.
sort of indecision between those two. He's definitely indecisive in a bush. They're not standing in the middle of the lawn, to be clear, but definitely indecisive. Indecisively going, kind of not really helpfully closer to Maureen or Carl, I think is the point, has kind of stuck between the two.
Dithering for the moment, no worries. So Maureen, on the inside, stays low and begins to push through the undergrowth, heading towards the Rosetti's car. Yep.
Question. Sorry. I don't know if we established that I still have, at least some of the stuff that my husband was looking at, Harold.
Yeah, you have to...
whether I hid the notes or whether I have them stuffed in a journal.
They never got to anyone else but Dr. Coombs, because he was immediately arrested and then abducted, so you can still have them.
Okay, great.
It's been a day.
It's been a day, man. It's been rough.
If I'd had any time while I was walking, which it sounds like I might have, would it be reasonable for me to have done something like a history check or a library use check to try and find a bit more information about whether this specific house is referenced in the notes and anything about it?
Absolutely. Give me a history would be perfect.
Great. Let's see if I can pull this off.
Deux points.
How are you? What's your luck
this
look like?
feels moderately relevant. It's at 17. I can take it down to 15. That's okay. That's fine. I'll give you 2 points of luck to make this a thing, rather than what I. Or do I push it and run the risk of frantically rushing through the paper so much they just fly off into the breeze? That would be very fun. No, you can have 2 points of luck for this one.
Free sanity roll. At no extra cost. Okay.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, that's the start of a new romance, isn't it? You drop all your papers and they go flying around, and then some attractive person
Somebody
walking
picks them
by
up in
stops
the-
them.
Something will pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picks them up
Some
and
elder
goes,
god
"Hey,
puts their
win."
little suckers on them and like lifts them up, and you're like, oh, well, I'm mad now, I guess. Oops.
Damn, this sucks. Okay, yeah.
I am romantically and. Nope, I'm not going to finish that sentence. I haven't enough coffee. Good morning.
Nope.
I was gonna have a big sip
complicated.
of coffee and let that lie. Yeah. So you had a look through.
Something. Join a cult because of meet cute. Something. That's where I was
We'll let
going.
you
The
workshop.
meat spelled MEAT.
Yeah.
Gross and bad. And certainly not good. So yeah, you had a thumb through the journals from your recently deceased partner as you were walking over. Now, he was focused on this conspiracy called the Midas Circle, which was the idea that this group of people were somehow resilient to the depression, and if anything, were benefiting from it. He believed he wasn't going down a supernatural angle. He was going down they are taking advantage, they're manipulating stock markets, they know things, there's a great government conspiracy, something to that effect. But as it got further along, he did get into more and more like, how though? I actually can't see. They don't have the intelligence to be able to be manipulating stock markets. They don't have the connections before, recent times. These people are minor lawyers and things. There's only like 4 members of it, and they are not people of significance. The exception to this is the deceased or missing Professor Hawks, who is the through thread to Arthur Sedgwick, who is the leader of this circle. Now, Hawks is the one that owns this property, and that's where you begin to see a connection to this house. Hawks was a physicist, and in 1924, he was looking into... He, published a very brief report on research he was doing into reaching worlds beyond this one. I reported measurements he was taken that seemed to imply sort of, thinness in barriers and reports of, other spectrums on which creatures might be perceived. And this was when people began to dismiss a lot of his study. He retreated inwards and begun to draw all funding. He was cut off from funding, and he relied on personal resources. You get the impression that he was doing some experimentation at his own house at this point, and not too long after, as he was already kind of disgraced for looking into these absurd things, and then the depression hits and everything, so he loses momentum, he vanishes. The property is closed up, and he's never heard from again. Sedgwick, who was working with him on this research, he was a fairly junior, basically physics student working under him, through your husband's research, was seen a couple times going to the house and appears to have possibly picked up that study and continued it from here.
I have 2 names on my what is slowly becoming madman corkboard.
Yeah.
You said that there are 4 members.
That's right.
So that would be Hawks, missing, Sedgwick, Roscoe Malloy, and Casper Brink are the 2 other names. Were they also physicists? Were they as you said, minor lawyers?
Roscoe Malloy appears to be a small-time lawyer, and Casper Brink ran a hotel. They appear to be people of, no offense, little substance. And no ties to eldritch nonsense. And yet all the same, they have greatly benefited from this circle.
Okay. So Prospect House was closed.
Yep.
And that's pretty much the extent of, we know there were experiments being done, he went missing, the house was closed. And as far as Harold was aware, that house had essentially remained closed. There isn't any notes being it's been used again.
No,
there's no records of it, the deed being passed to anyone, a will or anything.
Nothing like that. And in the period we're currently in, the Great Depression, there's a number of properties just being basically chuck tarps on the windows and call it a day. No one's looking to buy.
It's been repossessed by the bank, but also the bank's having trouble and they don't have time to do anything with it.
Exactly that.
Okay, well, I have a theory now about the Wibblies around the house. I don't know if Arthur has an intelligence of 80, so maybe he'll work it out. Maybe not.
Let's
Who
see how
knows?
it goes.
Based on that, how dilapidated does this house look?
So, we'll get back to that.
Cool.
You're turning.
Because I think with that, if I'd been walking and I had that information, that is definitely something that's going to pop up into my head as a question now that I'm inside.
It looks fairly
dilapidated.
dilapidated.
We caught you up that Rosetti and his goons have been coming out here on the rig.
I mean, I assumed I also do have now an additional note next to Rosetti outside of hired by question mark, because it just says tum mouth. So, you know.
It's true.
I'm getting there, slowly but surely.
What's he up to? So, Maureen, you take off through the undergrowth and will be closer to Dr. Coombs and the others when whatever happens there unfolds. Arthur, you dither briefly, reconsidering your options and keeping half an eye out on both Maureen and Carl on the other side. I guess actually quickly, Carl, what is your intent from here? Wilson is going to go and investigate, see nothing, and return to close up the gate once he gets the opportunity.
I'm going to wait until he's closed up the gate and has moved far enough away that he's not going to hear me go up to the gate and just try and... I mean, I've got a fair bit of mechanical repair. I just wanted to have a quick look at it and see if I can get through that gate. Otherwise, I'm going to continue with the plan and do a perimeter search for another gate that may be less well maintained.
Okay, all right. So locksmith would be...
Pretty sure there's a back... And I mean, I've been here a bunch of times. I'm pretty sure there's a back gate.
You have been here before. You actually did a little bit work with him. There is more of a chance, that you might know of another entrance or like a tree that overhangs or something.
Yeah.
How much time do you want to... So the lock is relatively modern and locksmithing would really be the role to get through this. You could attempt to just break it with mechanical
Oh my
repair.
God.
No, it wouldn't be much. It wouldn't be much time. I'd just be like, okay, nope, not through that way.
And then
I
you
have
look and try.
locksmith.
Oh, do you?
No!
You could return. You could double back.
I mean, yeah, maybe... Because we would have gotten far enough in to like get out of his way, so when he moved, he didn't see us. But I did say I was dithering, so I'm not kind of close to the house or
nearby.
like in between.
Dither away.
I mean, my locksmith, to be clear, my locksmith isn't amazing, but it is, as a base of 39 points higher than that.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So I can try.
Well, with that in mind, then, Carl, you can assist that with your mechanical repair knowledge and grant a bonus dice. So what happens then? Wilson scouts the area, sees nothing, returns, reseals the lock, and begins to walk up the long driveway. It will take him some time to get to the house. It's a fairly long trek. As he goes, he is kicking along at the undergrowth, and he has a bright torch on, which he's scanning around, killing his night vision, but allowing him to focus in on any movement that he detects. Arthur doubles back, and Carl meets him on the other side, both looking through the iron grates, and you can attempt to collectively jimmy the lock. This will be a locksmithing test with a bonus dice if you want to try and get through here.
All right.
I believe in you.
I will also start, while I'm doing this, muttering to Rothstein about the like physics experiments that Hawks was doing and the multi-dimensional stuff, and I sound mad, but I'm going to relay all of that stuff to you while I'm like trying to do this.
I knew he was doing experiments and that I was not involved in, and nice. Pop.
Carl's able to sort of angle it from one side, get something in, and with a click, the lock is opened. And given it's a locksmithing roll, you now have control of this lock. You can seal it, close it, whatever you want to do. You can leave it unlocked. It's up to you. You're able to rattle the chains out once more, and Carl can slip through. It's like a big padlock.
It's like a padlock?
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can jimmy it in such a way with Carl's assistance to like put the pin into the top, so it like if you were paying attention, you would be like, if you look at a lock, you're like, that's too much of the band out for that to be considered locked. But if it's a cursory glance, you're like, that like there's no gap, so it must be locked. So at a cursory glance, it's going to look locked. If you actually like went to open it, you would
could just
immediately
wrench it
see that
open.
it was
100% done. You reseal it. The two of you are inside, and you can now begin to make your way towards Prospect House to join the others. But they will get the opportunity to act first. So, Maureen, you are nearby, hidden in the undergrowth, as the following unfold. But Coombs, you are front and center for the action. Rosetti gets out of the car. For a moment, you're also, it's a police car, so you can't let yourselves out from the inside. He vanishes away from the lights, and with the interior more illuminated on the outside, you kind of lose track of him for a moment. And then suddenly there's a hand that slams up on the window on the inside. His head swings down and he raps on it with his gun before heaving on the door and letting you out. At this point, your hands are still shackled behind you, and Delure steps out on the other side. Delure, no roll needed, is very unnerved and is looking around and occasionally turns to Rosetti and demands explanations. But for the moment, Rosetti seems focused on his internal monologue. You are helped out, and Rosetti begins to walk up towards the main entrance. The gun is sort of like held loosely in his grip as he looks out towards it, and he seems to be counting something on his left hand, running down his fingers as he runs some sort of mental calculation. Then he suddenly, at the top of the stairs, swings around, his heels clicking into place, and he stares down at the two of you.
We're here, Captain. What next?
Here, back where it all went wrong. Now the others won't come back yet. They'll still be thinking it's not safe. But here's the thing: you and I, Dr. Coombs, we're getting on the level. We're beginning to understand how things are operating. There's sacrifices that can be made, and then it'll let us in. It'll find a way to open the breach and let us take what we need. But there's gonna need to be a sacrifice first. Someone's gonna need to give something up if we're gonna get inside. That door is not just gonna open with a key anymore. It's gonna need blood to spill on the mantle. So Dr. Coombs, I'm gonna ask you once more, are you with me?
Chew my lip for a second. I think that I in the backseat of the car, if I can flash back a moment,
yeah.
I think I was desperately trying to get some kind of useful tool, and I picked at the upholstery. And I got like a little bit of stuffing, and I was like, this is going to help me somehow. And I've got stuffing concealed in my palm, realizing it's not going to help me at all. I go, yes, of course, I'm fully committed.
Good. Delure, unlock him. Take off the manacles. Delure takes a half a step back at this point, and he has one hand on the keys, but the other on his gun. And he looks between the two and says, No. This isn't Rosetti. A bribe, an ignored report, that's one thing. This is mad. This is insane. I don't know what you're trying to pull here, but there's no chance. I'm not letting this person go, and I'm sure as hell not allowing you to spill blood on this property. Rosetti is going to level a gun at Delure at this point, and you can see Delure preparing to go for his own. Dr. Coombs, their attention is focused on one another for the moment. What would you like to do? Maureen, you can see all of this unfolding.
Oh, heck.
You've got a gun, Maureen. You're pretty good with it.
I mean, I was gonna go sprinting for the house because that's where my daughter is, but I am maybe the only one with a gun. I guess
I have a gun, but I'm not there.
I guess I gotta sneak back and, for the second time in the scenario, sneak up behind Rosetti with a gun.
Okay, you're gonna try and get closer. Is that the intent, or do you want to just try and get a beat? Do you want to just aim and get a beat on him and then use gun?
Yeah, well, yeah. If I'm within range,
yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah,
my range is 15 yards.
You're not going to be within point blank, but you are within range. You're in the overgrowth, looking up at him, standing in the sort of half darkness as well. So it's not an easy shot, but you can begin to draw a bead on him and focus. Dr. Coombs, are you doing anything as this escalates?
Can I glance across to our thug friend and see is he going for it?
He is walking up the driveway. He is a ways away. You pulled forward. He is not currently present, although you can see his light beginning to make its way up the driveway.
I think I will yell and jump out of the way. I aim with my yelling to just alert everyone around
of what is happening.
And basically, because I mean, I'm still tired. I can't fighting brawl anybody.
Do you just charge off towards the undergrowth? I mean, attentions. You could just run.
I don't think I run. I think I stay within sight of Rosetti at this point because I'm sort of in my head. I'm like, whichever of them wins, I want to be on their side.
So what are you yelling? Are you just attempting? Are you looking to startle? Are you looking to?
I guess what my goal here would be is to. I suppose what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to alert the last cop. So I guess.
Wilson.
Yeah. Is it a? I guess that would make it a fast talk, probably, wouldn't it?
I mean, you can just yell Wilson, and it'll alert him. It's just, is the intent to get him to like, but like, are you yelling, get over here, they're gonna kill one another, or are you just yelling like, it's all kicking off?
I think I'm still pretty much in a little bit of shock. I think I yell Wilson, I jump back, and in Coombs' head, he's like, set people against each other. This is great. This is the internal feed of panic. So he's playing pathetic. He is wounded, and he is kind of pathetic. Jumps sideways, slaps down into the mud. Well done.
A bit of pratfall.
Hoping here though, as the two people with weapons go for their guns, Wilson pops around and he might be enough in the thrall of Rosetti that he sides with Rosetti. I'm not actually sure how it's going to go, and probably I'm not going to know until a hand grabs me by the collar because I'm going to look down into the mud.
Okay, all right. So you yell Wilson, throw yourself out of the side, and Rosetti lets out a roar, and rather than even relying on the gun, charges down the stairs towards Delure with the gun like facing towards him. Delure scrambles for his holster, gets it up, and suddenly everyone hears a loud bang of a gun going off, but we will see whose it is that actually fires. So I'm going to roll for each. Now, Rosetti had his already drawn, so Delure's going to roll with the penalty dice, and we'll see if either of them can connect. So coming through for Rosetti.
Ooh.
And coming across for Delure.
Oh.
Okay.
Maureen.
What idiots.
Both fire.
Oh.
There is a loud flash. That was a penalty die, so it won't apply. And the two impact and slam down into the ground. Rosetti is immediately on top, and with the gun still held, he's just slamming it down into Delure's face as he punches across him. And Delure's looking to try and wriggle around, get a hand free, and fire up and into him. But currently, the two are just met on the ground in a brawl as they tumble around in the mud. What is everyone doing?
Maureen would have gotten a shot off, right?
Did I get a shot off before they got entangled?
Not before you're getting tangled. With you aim across it, and then they suddenly hit towards one another. You can now act if you want to try and shoot into this. It is a mess, though. They are scrambling around, rolling in the mud and in the dark.
Is Wilson sprinting back across?
Wilson is rushing now, and both Priestley and Rothstein will have heard the sounds, but you are over at the gate, and if you can begin to sprint, but it will take you a moment to arrive.
Was Maureen close enough to hear the stuff about like how you have to get into the house?
Yeah, Maureen was
okay.
present. Maureen kind of heard all of that.
Change your mind again. I think I'm inclined to get to the house.
Okay, all right. You can see them rolling in the mud, but
I
if
lost
you
my
want,
chance for an easy shot, so it's gotten too hard. So I'm gonna get out of here.
You did hear him say that they need a sacrifice to get into the house.
Oh,
So I mean, you've got a gun. There's two dudes who are both kind of crap lying in the dirt,
and blood must be spilt on the lintel. Fuck, I don't know. Whatever the front of the house is called.
if that's what they were getting at, then yeah, I'm gonna need one of them. Have they both got their guns still?
Threshold.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
They're both wrestling, rolling in the ground, and with enough time, you will hear another bang, a roar of fire. as they try to kill the hell out of one another.
Well, yeah, I'm inclined to wait till one of them's dead and then grab the survivor.
Okay, so you just wait for a moment. You stand there looking at both of this as Wilson goes chasing across.
Readying my pistol, like watching keenly as best I can in the darkness.
Well, with that in mind, Wilson will be the next to arrive on the scene. Nathaniel, Arthur, and Carl, what are the three of you doing? Nathaniel, currently your face is in the mud and you're trying to cover your ears. Arthur and Carl, if you flat out sprint, you will be attempting to outpace Wilson, but there will be no stealth element. He will spot you as you go. Otherwise, you will not arrive until after he gets there.
I do have a shotgun. Young Arthur, are you any proficient with this kind of weaponry?
Absolutely not. I'm good with my eyes. I'm good with my mind. I'm good with reading people. As far as
I will hang on to this.
No, I cannot. Hang on, where's my handgun? Nope, definitely not. I have base in everything related to hitting or shooting, so I am a underfed, slightly manic man at this point who is deeply unhappy.
You stay out of sight. I am going to shoot that man.
Probably the best I can do is be stealthy and try and get somewhere,
You get to Maureen. I think Maureen is going to need a hand.
I think I'm gonna try and get up to the house, but I want to peel off to the side where windows and stuff are, and I want to see if I can see inside the house. I'm going to use this as an opportunity where everyone is focused on a big thing going on at the front to skirt around. And I do also want to get a vibe. Does this house look dilapidated or does it not? How does it look like a dilapidated house that has been unboarded and reused, or does it not really look like it's been boarded up at all?
Yeah, okay. So you charge away and circle the house. It'll take you a half a beat to get there.
I might stick around because my spot hidden is much better than my shooty. Okay. And Maureen is with the good doctor, and Maureen can take care of the good doctor and herself.
Okay. All right. So in that case, the two of you circle around and dip out rather than heading further in. As you begin to go across, Arthur, you're studying the house. You can see that it is definitely dilapidated. There is heavy peeling paint and everything. Windows have been shuttered, but it doesn't look as though it's been permanently foreclosed or anything. They haven't started knocking down elements or anything. It seems to still see some use, just no maintenance. So the garden is completely overrun. Years of development. Can I get both of you to make spot hidden rolls actually as you circle around and draw closer?
Nope. No.
Yes.
Nope.
Success.
Okay. As you're charging around and towards the house, you almost trip on a thick modern electrical cable that is running across to the house, and as you stumble on it, you can see that the other side is connected out towards a shed, not too far away, or a low workshop, where you can see it runs up and into the door, and sealed in front of that, there is yet another quite modern-looking lock that latches it shut.
Would you help me with that, maybe?
Yes, I think that's.
I think you should help me with that.
If I don't think this is powering lights, so whatever it's doing, probably worth making it not do that.
And that I can do.
Very good. Yeah.
Unless it's keeping any kids alive in weird machines, in which case maybe don't yet.
Yeah.
No, maybe get into the house, Maureen.
Okay. So
right,
we're gonna.
Carl, I'm gone.
We're going to run this out in dex order, which I've got down, which means, Jim, you are going to be the first to act. So you hear the couple of gunshots go off, and then you throw yourself to the ground yelling Wilson. You will hear footprints. Actually, you probably won't hear footsteps approaching because the roar of gunfire sort of startles you. And currently you are tasting mud, your eyes are squeezed closed, and you're hearing ringing. What do you want to do?
I think I peek up for a moment, and if I can glance the shadow of Wilson approaching.
Yeah, you'll see his taunt bouncing as he charges across.
Perfect. My head still, whoever survives this, because I'm not really sure if my allies are 100% here.
Yeah, no, you haven't. You have no sign of them yet.
I haven't heard the savior sound of more gunshots. So I will get up as Wilson arrives, and I would like to rush and hit into the melee and basically functionally just sort of get in Wilson's way without getting in his way. I know I don't really have an option here in terms of obviously doing it. I think what I try to do is I try to block like as much action by just being in the way and not really helping anyone and playing an idiot.
Okay. So do you want to apply a penalty dice for the first action that Wilson takes? Is that the kind of angle?
That's probably a great,
sure.
That works fine.
I am going to ask you to make honestly, it sounds like acting or something similar to play the fool as you intentionally bumble into their way.
I think it's a fast talk check, and I think that it's the only thing that makes sense narratively. Knowing that I have 5 in fast talk, I'm still going to do it, and I think my ruse probably gets undone here, but that's fine.
Okay. I'm sold. I thought Jim was genuinely an idiot for a while there.
He did. Well, he did yell, "Wilson!" Wilson starts running, and then you immediately go to intercept, which is a hell of a strategy. But
like rugby tackle.
All right.
I mean, is it
spear tackle him?
You could use the excuse of just running forward and being like, "Help me, and then I'll help you," kind of thing, which is still fast.
If you want to attempt, you can also just get up and run. They're in a melee. You could. The world is your oyster, James. If you want to charge forward and get into the brawl, you might get hit.
Yeah, and I have probably like 4 health left.
Hey, mate.
Maybe my
gotta go sometime.
Maybe just like roll into the underbrush. Just try and disappear.
Yeah. Maybe that's better at this point. I'll sprint off into the underbrush.
We are gonna need some blood for a sacrifice, and I'm not too fussy.
Doesn't matter who it is.
I'll take whoever's most dead.
I'll sprint off into the underbrush.
Okay, all right. So from the ground, you inch up onto your knees, and then hoisting yourself up, you begin to charge away into the undergrowth and make your escape. I'm gonna get you to make a stealth roll. Because you called for Wilson, who is now charging over and he is not involved in the brawl. This is just for being spotted, though. Sure. He's still going to go and focus in on the actual fight first.
Oh. There we go.
Well done. Yeah, you kind of get yourself up and onto your feet, get the momentum forward, and just barrel off and into the darkness. Wilson, with his high beam torch on, night vision is completely obliterated, and basically anything outside of his focus is gone. And by the time the torch flicks across to where you were just lying, there's just a couple of scuffs in the mud, and Dr. Coombs has vanished, hurtling through the undergrowth and into the distance. So Delure, from underneath Rosetti, yells out, "You're mad, you're crazy," and attempts to wrestle Rosetti's gun out from under his grip. So we'll go ahead and give him a bit of a schmack. So he's going to go for brawl with the intention of taking his gun. That will fail, and Rosetti's going to oppose that by slamming the revolver down into his nose to attempt to break it. And that will succeed, so that's going to be 6 points of damage. Delure's nose breaks with a huge crunch, and blood begins to spill out from it. And Rosetti screams down to him, "I will devour you, and you will feed me for an aeon." As then it is Jackson's turn, as you hear a crunch, people saying insane things, and you decide it's time to dip. What would you like to do?
My best. Do I get the sense that the fight's over? That like Rosetti's just about to eat this guy?
But Rosetti seems motivated to eat him, yes, but it's not necessarily over. Rosetti is still focused on the fight for the time being.
Yeah. Do I feel like I've got a good chance of just sprinting up and shooting him in the back of the head?
Yeah, he's definitely distracted. You get a bonus dice. He is technically Delure is not actually Delure. That is more than. Hang on. Delure is out with that. Delure is going to be unconscious. So, up to you. Rosetti is focused, but there's still, rolls to be made.
And yeah, we just wait a few more seconds for him to open up the tongue mouth.
Absolutely.
And go while he's in the middle of that.
Yeah, you can do that. Let him have a bit of a chomp.
Do I get the impression that's what he's about to do?
Yes.
He said, "I will devour you."
Yes.
Yes. I'm assuming he's not speaking figuratively here.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just wait till you've got the tongue mouth open, and then that'll be the peak distraction.
Or it's like stalled in between, like racing up the stairs and come back, and turns back around and waits a little bit longer, pausing as the insanity unfolds. All right, we're going to go across to Arthur Priestley. Art, it's your turn.
I am going with Carl over to the shed, and we're going to try and open it and see what's inside, and maybe try and turn this this power off.
Okay.
Is
All
the
right.
plan? Is the long-term plan? We'll see how much I can get done in a round.
Okay. You get towards the door and once again find it secured by a fairly heavy lock. You can attempt to pick your way through it, or you can just try and break it.
I'll try picking it. Am I able to get Carl's assist on this again?
You can, if Carl, if you want to spend
Carl's
this.
turn.
Yep. Carl, if you're happy to do
Okay.
this on your turn, you can.
Yep.
Okay. All right. In that case, yep, we will roll it on your turn. So we're going to go back up to Rosetti from here as the two of you fall down, get out a small torch and begin to try and lever your way through this security. Rosetti drops the gun and it falls into the mud, and he leans over and pushes his thumbs against Delua's eyes and begins to
No.
squeeze them inwards as he leans over him, and unable to see anything, you can hear under the he's not fully unconscious, he's just incapable of acting. At first just groans that then begin to turn into screams. There is a squelching sound from somewhere, and Rosetti has leant down so far there is definitely skin contact from his stomach sagging across the captain as he continues to just squeeze. It's going to be Alex, it's your turn. So if you want to go ahead and make locksmithing test with a bonus dice.
Well,
Oh no.
that is
At
not
least it's not a fumble anymore.
Okay.
but it is not a success.
You are unable to get through this. It's fairly secure,
Is this
and it also
anything
does
we
appear to have
can
been
repeat
reinforced.
or not?
You are not going to be able to lock this unless you change the circumstances. So if you escalate it in some way, no.
Yeah, no. I think I can just shoot the lock off next time.
Okay.
That
Stand
or
back.
we can try and wrench it.
Yeah.
Again.
I'll try and shoot it off with the shotgun, which will make a noise, and put us on a timer, but it's reinforced.
Okay.
You said it is or it isn't reinforced?
It is reinforced. It looks as though it's not being beautifully maintained, but it does look as though there have been some upgrades made to it over the last few years. The installation of the power lines, more modern doors so water can't get through from storms and things like that. It's definitely
Does it look
been
like there's
maintained.
are there any is it just a box shed
No
with no windows
yeah.
or anything?
It seems to be there's some level they've tried to make this secure. Yeah, certainly.
Okay, cool.
All right. Wilson comes charging up and into the fray, and his light falls across Rosetti and Delua tangled on the ground. Delua's eyes are being turned to jelly, and you can now see where the shirt sort of falls away from it. Rosetti's stomach has almost like a lamprey onto Delua's own in sort of like a sort of wet sucking motion, and is drawing it upwards and into him as Rosetti sort of leans back and then slams Delua's head down to the ground, and then begins to not complete whatever devouring thing was happening. He's going to turn to Wilson and say, "Pick him up, bring him to the doorway. This isn't mine to feed, not yet." Wilson stalls for a moment on the in-between, but with nothing else directed at him, will step forward, get an arm under Delua, and haul him up. And the two are going to begin to drag Delua, whose face had broken nose, eyes ruined, and a large gash across his stomach, groaning feebly, is dragged up the stairway of the porch and towards the entrance.
I'd be inclined to make my play.
Go for it, mate.
Before they scoop him up.
Yeah, go for it.
If I can get in, since I've been delaying this whole time.
Absolutely.
I'm as soon as I get the sense that Rosetti's attention is completely away from me, either on Delora or on Wilson.
You are confident of that, yeah.
That's when I'm getting right up there.
Okay. You
For a shot to the back of the head.
You slink out of the undergrowth. And in that case, then Wilson will be nearby and has his light focused on him. That said, that eliminates the darkness at least. Your current, if you make your roll, you can roll with one bonus dice. As the light is on him and you've aimed and the brawl is no longer a factor.
I'm going to go for it.
Go for it, mate.
Thank you. I'm suddenly very nervous. I don't think my luck's going to hold out this long. Let's see what happens.
It's got to fade eventually. Well, that's 9 damage. That's pretty good.
Regular success, 9 damage.
Good.
And I already hit him for 1. It's a major wound.
Well done. Okay. Yeah. You stand up out of the undergrowth, aim the revolver at the back of his head, and squeeze the trigger. It explodes and slams into his neck, and there is a splash of blood that goes across Delure and Wilson's torch. Momentarily, it's sort of like stained, so the whole thing is cast in an amber hue. It pins across him. Rosetti wheels around, and you can just see like white open eyes. The mouth drops, and then he hauls himself up to his highest point and just lets out a scream of no. And then we'll see what happens on his turn. So that was technically Wilson. So you have stopped him moving forward to act.
Put me, I don't know if we can
was
get
just
like a
you
D20
holding.
style initiative, if you can move me, if you have to move me in the initiative order.
Just move you down. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just whack you at the end of the... no, it's fine. That was you holding. You were waiting. You were like, when this happens, I'll fire. That's all good. That said, though, Wilson is going to. So he stepped forward to act. You stopped it before he got into it. So he is going to see you shoot, and he is going to look to charge towards you.
No, he's going to charge towards Rosetti. This is it, Wilson, you idiot. This is the time to take Rosetti down.
Wilson loves to be indoctrinated, and no one's persuaded him otherwise. So he's going to get your ass.
I'll be honest, my entire plan hinged on turning Wilson against Rosetti.
Someone probably should have done a social check to turn him at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Jackson,
mean,
do you want to oppose this rather than a dodge or a fighting brawl? Would you like to attempt a social check? It will be hard.
Yes.
So I'm going to increase the difficulty, but you go like, no, get him.
Yeah, I'm going to turn to Wilson and just go, young man, this is your chance to be the hero. Take down this monster with me. With all of my Southern Belle charm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a actually we'll just do it for simplicity. We'll do it as it'll be a penalty dice, and he is going to attempt a fighting brawl. He's going to try and kick you in the face.
I'm a lady. He
Yes.
would never.
And you will soon be a boot print. Go ahead and make your charm roll.
Did you say I have any kind of die?
Yeah, you have a penalty
bonus?
dice. Yeah, a penalty.
Oh, damn.
Bonus. Worth a shot.
Damn.
Oh,
Not terrible.
4
Not
points
terrible.
of luck. I think this is the time to spend it.
I think this is the time.
Yeah. Actually, do you still have luck? Oh yeah, you would too,
I've
because
got
you've actually
19.
Okay, all right.
15.
That is his success. So if the brawl gets through, he's still going to kick you. It's
He was
opposing
gonna
rules.
feel bad about it.
Yeah, we'll see. Honestly. All right. Taste boot. Damn it.
Yes.
All right. He comes charging towards you. You yell, and something in there stalls him as his light falls across this small woman who just wants to save her daughter. And then he turns backwards, and he can see Rosetti, sort of, huge wound on the side of his neck, this disgusting mouth in the center of his stomach, screaming mad obscenities. He will stall, and he will not attack you on this round. And we go back to the top with Coombs. Doctor, you've made a break for it.
Dear God, have I heard the sound of a new gun entering the fray, or can I not tell the difference?
Yeah, you're aware of
yelling.
everything that's happening. You see Maureen shoot. Maureen also then stands up and has a little speech. Like you see her.
Perfect. Okay. At which point I reverse course. I come sprinting back, and I'm going to launch myself onto Rosetti to try and harry him. So my idea is that I'm not a good enough fighter to try and get in my own swing here, but I'm going to try and make it so that if he attacks Maureen, he can attack Wilson. If he attacks Maureen, I'll try and apply a penalty dice,
Okay.
and if Maureen attacks him, I'll try and apply a bonus die.
Okay.
Or a penalty to the repulse, whatever
So
goes.
you just
I probably-
with your hands, just rubbing, just
well,
bouncing
they're
up
behind
against-
my back, so I probably just crash into him at full speed. I have...
You can step backwards over your own hands, and at least they'll be in the front.
That would probably be a thing to do at this point.
Yeah.
So Jim, you can do the penalty dice to Rosetti's attacks. You can just do that as your action. If you want to try and assist Maureen, you're going to need to make a roll, because if you just get in the way, it's just likely she shoots your asses. Like, you are not just default helping.
Completely understand. Let's just go with the penalty to Rosetti, and we'll take it and be pleased with it.
So you've charged off, you then swing around, and if Rosetti attempts to approach towards Maureen or fire, you will just charge forward and disrupt that.
Yes.
Okay, done. Delure is still somehow alive. With his nose broken, he tries to draw in breath through his mouth. You can hear a gargling, and he is faintly trying to crawl away from the fight. And it just so happens in his delusional, blood-stained state, he is dragging himself up the stairs and towards the house to get away. He is incapacitated, though, and making very little progress. He just tries to pull himself away. Maureen, it's your turn.
Already? Again?
Yep. You'd basically delayed during the last one, so you're going to be up.
Fantastic. I'm going to have another shot at Rosetti.
Okay.
I'd also like to point out, username only for dropout in chat says that Coombs had his hands in front of his
okay, all right.
front back at the diner.
James, is that yes? Yes, I think that's right. I think they really do.
No, I'm happy.
Now I'm thinking like, how many RPGs have I played where we all like forgot something that would have been like, a huge advantage?
Fairly
because we didn't
critical.
have chat.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
remembering all the details that would have helped.
I believe that is right,
Anyway.
James, because you were tinking your glass and stuff as well, and it was bound in front of you, and they wouldn't have redone it. So yeah, I think you are in front.
Okay, so can I use my turn to run and to grab?
You're still gonna need a roll for that. That's you basically creating a brawl, which makes it harder to shoot.
Oh no, I was gonna go for the gun that got knocked out of.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Hands.
Rosetti dropped his gun
aim a
too
gun
when he was
behind
doing
me,
his
but
whole.
if I can just pick it up.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so you can grab Delure's gun as a freebie, or you can take Rosetti's with a roll.
I'll try and grab Delure's gun.
Okay, done. You charge out of the darkness once more, grab Delure's gun as he scrambles up and away, and then try and level it down towards Rosetti. Easily done. Well handled. And thank you, chat. All right, Maureen, this is going to be a straight shot at this point. Wilson has swung the light around towards you when it's done. You're momentarily dazed by it, and when you re-aim at Rosetti, he's not in a brawl or anything, but he is in the darkness. But you can attempt to shoot.
Oh, 12 points of luck? Is this the time?
Do you have 12?
I mean, I do. Do I get the sense of any kind of supernatural constitution from
He's got a
Rosetti?
weird tum.
But I mean, I've shot him twice today,
Yes.
and he's still standing.
first one was
Does that strike me as odd?
The second shot was a big one. The first one grazed him, mostly. The second one is his neck is open and currently removing its contents.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem bothered by that. Like,
he looks more mad than supernaturally strong.
Okay.
You reckon you'll probably you feel good about bullets?
In that case, because I've run the combat roll and I can see the damage number, I don't want to like spend the 12 points of luck for 3 damage. I'll spend the 3 points of luck if I can have another damage roll. That seems reasonable to me.
Are you just gonna kick him in the head?
Okay.
No, I want to shoot him again.
So
but I don't want to take that measly 3 damage I can see there.
I understand. Yeah, that's, fair, I guess. yeah, I like it. It's more dramatic anyway. All right, so it's 12 points of luck, and you're going to re-roll the dice.
I sure am.
Go for it. All right,
so
hit us.
success is 1d10 damage.
All right.
That's
way better. Rosetti.
But he might dodge, right?
Nah, he was going to try and run at you. So you get the gun up and fire at him once. He swings around. You're able to hold Wilson at bay. And as you level the gun at him once more, Rosetti stands up. His stomach does like this and then disconnects from Delure as he's dragging himself up. And as he pulls himself to his full height, the stomach is now sagging like loosely in front of his legs. He rolls back and then begins to like lurch towards you when you squeeze up a second shot and send him to his early grave. Any particular flair you want to add to it, Miss Fryan?
I'm more interested. I don't want to give any more time of the day. All right, I've spent enough time on this rude young man, and he's just not worth my energy anymore.
Okay.
So it's just like a squeeze, snap, hits the ground, and then like I'll carry on and say, "And Mr. Wilson, if you'd like to accompany me up to the front door, I believe we have some more business to attend to."
Time for the police to make their presence known. Fantastic. Wilson sees the shot goes out and Rosetti's head lolls back and he slams down into the mud. Wilson is stunned momentarily, but Rosetti has been successfully killed, and Nathaniel, you stand there with the gun that you've drawn from him pointed down at the man who so recently died. We're going to nip across briefly to Arthur and Carl, who are wrestling with a door. What would you like to try and do to get this off?
I'd like to try and shoot the lock off with my shotgun.
Sure. I actually think this probably still leans under mechanical repair. You're like going for the structural element of it, if that works for you, Alex.
That totally helps. That works really well. That works much better for me.
You're muted up. The classic.
If it, depending on how this is going ahead, I would like to posit or offer that I might be able to provide a bonus dice by hip and shouldering this door in the process, so helping to like weaken what's going on.
Kind of angle it or whatever. I think this is where it's going to come down to a straight roll because you're already kind of like developing this, but it's factored in that you are assisting and everything. I think this is going to come down to a straight roll just to try, because you're kind of, guns are not necessarily designed for this purpose, but it seems like it may be effective. Okay.
Maybe effective.
You've got the shotgun, you're able to push it right up against the lock and squeeze the trigger. There's another boom that surrounds in the area. Now everyone's kind of aware of how many parties there are on the field. And the lock turns to shrapnel and drops away. The door can be opened and you see inside. Now, the interior is unlit, but the small torch that Arthur is carrying is able to illuminate the interior. And you can see a number of strange sort of scientific devices. Key among them is a large like pedestal in the center of the room that one would stand upon. So like a circular flat raised area with a number of cables running into it and around, and then nodes plunging up from it. You can also see the telltale etchings of some runic symbols carved into them on the outside, and then laden with molten silver or something. It seems to be particularly occult. Towards the side, along the back wall, there are a number of glass canisters filled with like thick gelatinous looking fluid, and you can momentarily see things sliding in and out through them. The last item of particular note is there is something remarkably similar to a dentist's chair in the back with some additional straps and holds that would allow a person to be tied down into it. And then there's like tubing that runs across it that would allow someone to be experimented on, cut open, somehow tested towards the back of the room. There aren't stains of like blood or anything splattered across the ground, but there is a stench of vomit or bile that rolls out from the room as you take all of this in. I am going to ask each of you to make sanity rolls as you see the gross chamber. It's going to be 1 point on a failure. Nothing necessarily mind-racking, more just uncomfortable, bad, and gross. Okay.
Just a tickle.
Just a tickle. Okay. You've got the door open, and Maureen, you kind of get Wilson back under control. Dr. Coombs, you've got your gun and your hands positioned in front of your torso. Delore had dragged himself a short ways up the stairs, and as everything settles momentarily, you begin to hear the creak of wood as the front doors open.
It's just on their own?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there anyone?
Appears to just be on their own. As you shine the torch up towards it, they slide ajar, and you can see just darkness on the inside.
Dave, that was so good. Can I hear that again?
I don't think so. I'm not risking it for twice.
Oh, really? That was once.
That was one and done. One and done.
Oh, it was so good. We need to clip that and then play it back anytime a creepy door opens in any scenario.
Hell yeah.
That was so
that was
good.
very good.
Appreciate it.
I'll yell it's whatever they wanted to feed him to. It's gonna come out. Can I whip my gun towards the absence of anything?
Yeah.
And really squint. Is there even a slight whatever? Is there a haze? Is there a
You peer as closely as you can and take half a step forward, looking into the darkness. You can, Wilson wheels around as well and will focus his torch on it momentarily, but let's get that spot hidden roll first, Dr. Coombs.
Okay, sounds good. Coming right up. Really squinting as hard as I can.
You could push this roll by stepping up and beginning to walk up the stairs and towards it, passing Delore and peering into the darkness. You're sure you can see something shifting on the inside somewhere.
No, I will not push the roll.
Good call.
I cock back the hammer on the gun. I'm probably going to start firing next round.
Okay. All right, you cock back the hammer on the gun, and then Wilson's torch shines out and across it. For a moment, it just looks to be the interior of the house, but the roof where the plaster is sagging down as if filled with water, and then it begins to bulge further, and then as if there is a ripping in the plaster, as if water to spill out, an enormous wet tongue falls down onto the ground and begins to roll out towards Delore with the intent to wrap around him and draw him swiftly into the house. I need sanity rolls from both Miss Frine and Dr. Coombs, and I'll roll one for Wilson as well to see if he has a little breakdown.
Was Delore dead already?
No, but he is incapacitated and he was kind of dragging himself up the stairs. He's in a bad way.
Right, but you could fool yourself into thinking he died.
Yeah, you could tell yourself that.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyone going, he's dead.
How do we go? I see a failure from Jackson finally. He's decided to play the game like the rest of us.
Wow. Yeah, it's because I wanted to fail. Don't worry.
This one you're feeling. All right. So everyone that failed, I'm going to give a comfortable D6 to, and everyone that succeeded can take a single small teeny tiny point. Please and thank you.
Just 4.
Okay.
Nice.
Manageable. Wilson yells as it happens, but actually manages to hold himself still, and the tongue begins to unfurl towards Delore and wrap around him. What do the two of you want to do?
Two of who?
Maureen and Dr. Coombs.
Oh, I mean, get Rosetti as a secondary kind of morsel, and hope to trade these fine, feasts for a couple of kids.
Sure. Do you want to try and shove Rosetti in the way of Delore so he gets drawn through first, or you're happy to give up both?
Okay, both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Delore's more of an appetizer. I think Rosetti's the
All
main
right,
meal.
I am going to clarify at this point. The two of you are
please
aware
do.
that Delore is alive.
Oh.
So you can do this. You are giving over a living person to a monster.
In exchange for my daughter, sold.
Okay, Doctor?
I had thumbed back the hammer. I see this tongue emerging. It's something to shoot. I yell, shoot it, and go to fire it. So if you want to stop me, Maureen, we can...
Oh, yeah. Your name is Dr. Nathaniel Coombs. Dr. Coombs, we have come all this way. We have endured much. Yod dropping is not a feature of Southern accent. We have endured so much. These men who are lying on the ground have barely any life left in them. It is a mercy that we should give that life in exchange for 2 young innocents. Please, stand back. Help me fetch Mr. Rosetti.
I will let the gun sort of tremble, drop a little bit. I trust Maureen, I do, but then as I see the poor captain just writhing on the ground, comes back up, I will shoot the captain.
Okay.
I think. Put him out of his misery. I will feed the gangster, but that cop was a bad man, but no one deserves this.
Okay. I dig it. I'm gonna ask for... I think no roll needed. This is, if narratively that's where the characters are, then there they are. You level the gun at Delore as through weeping jelly. He will have no way to see what's coming, but he feels the tongue begin to wrap around his head, squeeze, and you let off a final shot into his heart, jolts him backwards, and he stops moving, and the tongue begins to draw him back up and into the house. It does not appear to be going for Rosetti yet, and appears to be taking him back into the house and then rising him up to the second story.
I suppose we follow with Mr. Rosetti in place as a second course.
I'm sorry, Maureen. He didn't deserve that, though. I know he wasn't good, but he didn't deserve that.
I understand. You followed your morals just as I am doing right now. Let's proceed.
Okay. You hoist up Rosetti and begin to walk up the stairs and inside, Wilson following cautiously behind you. Yep.
If it's trivial, Wilson, do you have a key?
Oh, yeah.
How much luck does Wilson have?
Wilson has plenty. It's more at factoring across to Nathaniel. Yeah, I think Delure doesn't. Again, the odds are against you. He can attempt to just wrench it off or something. For the time being, it was Delure's. Actually, no, he'd have the key. They'd have separates.
Roll a luck check? Just
yeah, go ahead and make a roll a luck check, Jim. Let's see what the number looks like.
Fail.
Fuck, that's actually really low, too. That sucks. No, I think you are going to be.
Amazing.
I think you are going to be manacled for the foreseeable until something happens. That's unfortunate. As the two of you go up, we'll cut back across to Arthur and Carl as you take in this room. What?
Oh,
I would like
think we
to.
should look at it and break it.
Yeah, I would like to try and understand what this pedestal is, / what it does, / what these markings are. I am not a stupid man, and
No.
I have my husband's notes. I also have a
electrical
physicist
repair.
with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, what does it do? And whether we find that out or not, break it.
So,
What does it do? If we don't know that, how do we stop it from doing whatever it does, whatever that may be?
so this definitely
I think
runs
We can,
into
definitely.
Carl.
The
This
glass
definitely falls into
canisters.
your wheelhouse here with physics and an understanding of electrical repair. With the notes, you can apply, and the assistance, you can probably justify a bonus dice for a. It is a combined electrical repair and physics roll, so whichever is lower is the one that you will use.
Electrical repair.
Okay, but you have a bonus dice as you step in and begin to study the room.
Buddy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nicely done. So a hard one gives extra steps too. So
Does an extreme give extra steps? Because this seems like a time to.
100%.
Pump some
If
luck
you
in
want
the
to
last
burn
little
down
bits
to
of
the
my
extreme,
life.
I'll give you a couple of extra bits and pieces.
5 points.
Damn it! I was
Done.
looking forward to tempting you with the turn it on for a reroll. So
Nah, take the points, take an extreme.
stepping into the room, I mean, Carl, you probably read Professor Hawkes's studies a while ago and dismissed them like most other people as basically being
Well,
rambling
yeah,
lunatics.
he tried to get me into this kind of shit, and I dismissed it out of hand, and then he refused to tell me anything about it from that point on, so I was thoroughly locked out of all the real weird shit. But I vaguely recognized some bits and pieces from some of his preliminary drawings, which I thought were kooky and weird.
Exactly.
A little bit scary.
Exactly. And some of the maybe the core function of things, like you can just follow the passage of energy to see what's powering what. You can see heavy generators that have been built to produce a tremendous amount of power that are all
Not
directed
those.
towards this central thing. If there are a number of switches on the back wall and then dials across them that seem to have been honed into specific sequences, you can see bits of tape that have been run across them and then marks made where they are to be dialed to specific values, and then they don't seem to be moved from that. So they could all be adjusted, but currently they've been kind of tuned to a default set. Then a number of switches down the low that you would throw one after the other to begin to send energy in towards this central thing. You believe, based on some of Hawkes's research in the past, based on some of the rumors that you'd heard, and based on your own basic understanding of what he was looking into, that if this is turned on, it would make a brief breach in our reality or dimension and allow passage into another one that they appear to have chosen because it is pre-dialed in for it and they seem to only be using that one. They're not scanning for hundreds. They've got one they intend to use. And based on like the fuel canisters to the side that run the generators, they have done so several times. Now, there are also a number of these glass canisters along the back. It looks as though whatever those occupants are, which now that you study them, you can see these little black parasites that swirl around, and as you get close enough, sort of almost sensing heat, get to the side of the glass and sort of sucker onto it and attempt to get through towards you. These are alien beings, and they are presumably being drawn through the portal and bottled. Now, the final stage of this, the strapped down thing towards the back, it looks as though its function is someone sits in the seat, is strapped down, then one of these tubes is lowered towards where their like belly button would be, and a parasite is able to descend down towards it, but is then caught in place so that it cannot effectively breach.
Huh. I would like to, I would relay all of this to Arthur. And I would make a suggestion that we try and reverse some of the current here and fry the shit out of those parasites. Just fry them. Just.
I would concur, and whatever this is, if what you described is correct, and this was a connection to other versions of reality, perhaps that's the explanation as to why they were able to bypass this rather terrible financial situation that we were all in, found a place where this didn't happen, or was able to find a place before or after, keeping themselves ahead. I don't think, as much as I would love if all of this hadn't happened, the best way to deal with corruption is to stop it. So yes, fry it, fry the creatures, fry the machine.
We fry it.
And I would like to take an opportunity to take some photographs.
Okay.
Or sketches of things in here. I do have the photography skills. I don't know whether I have a particularly good camera, and I know I didn't specify that I had one on me, but I have the photography skill.
That's fine.
If there is a possibility that I have something,
yeah,
whether it is sketching or just like something to sort of take some photos.
I think a record is a
good to kind of go like, hey, here's proof. I am happy that if we are ever called on this, at that point, would I roll my photography skill to see if they actually came out in any way that didn't make me look completely mad?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, just start documenting what we found and assisting the good professor in frying this with as much sort of help as I can provide with my notes.
I do think any documentation you can make is good, because I know he was asking around. He was in correspondence with people here and overseas. There are others. This is not the only one. So many things that may assist in other people recognizing this for what it is and being able to dismantle it and if this is not the only one, that's not good.
Are there any records being kept in this? Like, is this just a power control facility, or is there a desk with sort of papers on it or stuff like that?
Yeah, there'd be some notes and things that have been taken. If you want to try and run this or cross-reference it with maybe some of your husband's theories, you could do I would say a cult roll would work super well here if you have that skill.
I have both occult, and I also was going to suggest library use for the purpose of just finding things and getting information, but I have both. Library use is better.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna library use you can use for documenting, and you can grab up journals and things and look at it later. I'm gonna ask for an occult roll to possibly put some information together now that you might be able to use.
No.
Okay.
And I do not believe that would be 11, and that's getting
outside of the window.
I mean, I can do it if we think it is
It
but
is up to you ultimately. It's some more understanding into what was going on here and what its purpose was.
That's okay.
But at
I
the end of the
can-
day, if the plan is just shut this shit down, you can smash glasses
Right.
without understanding it. Yeah.
Frying all of
yeah.
the beasties if
I'd
possible
rather
while we do that.
fry them. Yeah, I'd rather fry and then
Overload
open,
the
smash
system.
the canisters and let them out.
All right. Wait. What?
The canisters with the little beasties
Yeah.
in them, we're trying to overload
Don't
the
wanna let 'em
system,
out.
so we fry those things like in their canisters, and also
I
like
see.
Or like reverse
fry the
current.
machinery, because it sounded like they were connected in some way, like the
Yeah,
canisters
there's
were.
nodes or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Just fry the lot.
Yeah, all
It's
right.
like a
I
full-on
just want to
cookout in
overload
here.
the system, fry it. I would like to destroy the little wriggly things without smashing canisters and letting them out.
Okay.
Because that seems not awesome.
I am going to need an electrical repair roll for this because there
Yeah.
are forces at work here that are on the edge of your understanding, and it'd be really cool if you fumble.
Cool. Can I make an argument for physics then?
Yeah, no, this is ultimately electrical repair. Sorry, this is moving current, sending it in different directions and things. I think this is core. I think it's electrical repair.
Is there
It's core.
anything I can do to help or not?
No, you're currently running through the journals and things.
Yep.
I think
Okay.
you can.
You could
mechanically.
get a
You'll be, sorry, effectively you are supporting and you're there and
Yeah,
over
cool.
the longer period. What was that, Jim?
You get a good picture for the autopsy if it all goes wrong.
Yeah, you get the last known photo of Professor Carl Rothstein.
Cool.
Nicely done.
Making up for lost
my.
time.
Well done.
Outstanding.
You're able to re-divert current and thumb it through the whole thing. The central podium, whatever was breaching these worlds, begins to overload. There's cracks and sparks going off it, and you can see sections breaking away as it is destroyed. There was some very delicate electronics that have been tuned towards, and as you lean down and just begin to wrench it apart, it will soon become completely impossible to use. This then current diverts up and fries each of these parasites one at a time, running through them as they begin to bulge up as electricity swarms through the air, the water, and they begin to swell and then one by one explode. The scent that comes from them is
Go.
vile on a level. There is a scent you cannot place. It is not of this world. It is as if they have drawn dreams into themselves and they are now filtering out. It is if you are getting hit with a wave of foul nostalgia for a time that was like ripped from you and you cannot get back. These things stole from someone in some way, and as they crisp up and fade, they are leaving the decaying matter in this world, unable to bring it back. It is abhorrent and impossible to understand. It is truly the sort of thing that you immediately begin to compartmentalize and just hope you never have to smell this again. Your stomach turns and the two of you are immediate instinct is to relieve the contents onto the floor in front of you.
Yeah, I'll like turn away a bit, have a spew, come back, keep fucking shit up.
And
Yeah.
one by
Just
one,
like
the whole
Arthur,
thing
like,
is...
Just like
Arthur
an emotional
runs
tactical
outside to kind of get around away from stuff. With the extreme, does any of this electrical kind of back, we're frying the system? There's a big ass cable running to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Is that big?
It doesn't
Are
run
we
back
frying
through it, and
everything connected to it?
it doesn't run back through and explode or anything, but there is no power
No.
capable of going through to the house anymore. So that shit is shut the hell down. The house will no longer, you can't turn lights on or anything. It will be dark, dead.
I have heck and hecked the cable.
You have heck and hex the shit out of those cables. They're completely shut down. At this point, immediately as this happens, as there is the fizzling and popping, we return to Maureen, Nathaniel, and Wilson as you go in and try and flick a switch and nothing happens on the interior. Each of you are carrying torches, although Nathaniel, you're probably committed to your gun, and shining it out on the interior. This house was, it's familiar to you, Maureen. You've been here before, and for a moment you have a flash of stepping inside with your husband when you were still here, your daughter left at home, shedding off your fine coat and having it taken away as you were swept with, champagne and drawn towards the dance floor that is only a few meters away. And then you're snapped back to the reality of this house that is in a state of collapse. There are rips in the plaster, and on the other side of it, you can see the walls momentarily bulging as if flesh presses out of the grainwork and then recedes when your eyes focus on it. From upstairs, where the body was drawn, you hear meat being ripped apart.
Oh, man.
We should move quickly. It's going to finish.
Yeah, I'm inclined to call out. Esther! Mama's here!
Can you both give me a listen roll? Mama Bear's coming! On the very edge of your hearing, muffled by several layers of wood and earth, you hear your daughter's cry of, Mama! Mama, help! She is underneath the level you are on.
Ain't nothing gonna stop me.
You push forward across the ground, the carpet wet and sticking to your shoes, and find your way to a cellar door, which you recall going down partially buzzed to hunt in the cellar with your husband for another bottle of wine. It's pushed open, and there is a wave of rotten, fetid water that you smell rolling out from the outside, and immediately these stairs are slick with what appears to be like an intestinal lining going down each layer, and you can see there is water quite high down here, and as your torch shines across it, it has a sheen like oil slick, and you can hear faint splashing, and now your daughter's voice louder crying, Mama!
Mama's coming. You stay where you're at and coming to you. We're gonna get out of here.
All right, begin to head down the stairs. Jim?
In response to the sound, I'll jerk my head towards Wilson and say, come on, let's go. I would like to follow along. Can I eye Wilson? I'd like to make a psychology check on him. I just want to make sure he's not trying to put two and two together in the two brain cells that he has, you know, in there, and figure out a way to hurt us now.
Yeah, make a psychology roll.
Okay, fantastic. Psychology, 43.
Wilson is a follower. Bless his soul. He does what he is damn well told. At the moment, he has latched to Maureen as just the latest in a long line of people telling him what to do. That said, the man does have a level of self-preservation, and if push comes to shove, he's happy to push you in front of the train. But he's on your team, unless it would put him in direct personal danger. But he will do as he's told.
Till a better team comes along.
Exactly.
He's on Team Wilson.
He doesn't really want to go down in the water though, so he'll probably hang at like the top for the time. In which
case, I'll say put Rosetti there, and I point to like the angle I think the tongue might come down from again. That way we have time if it decides to come back down for us. I'll hang at the like halfway down the stairs or at the top something, ideally where I can see the upstairs and still be around to help with the downstairs if something happens.
Yep.
And like hover.
Okay. You hang on the in-between. Wilson goes over and drops the body against the wall. And Maureen, you sort of, hike up your trousers a little bit and step onto the first of the stairs. I immediately need you to make a dexterity roll as your feet threaten to slide out from under you and send you
oh my God.
tumbling to the ground below. All right, well... you muted, I think, Jackson.
Damn it. That's what I was going for last time when I tried to interrupt you with an extreme success.
And it worked. That's what I say. It worked
comedy
so
timing,
well.
and that's how I got it.
It's pretty consistent, actually. You put a foot down, and although it is incredibly slick, you're able to balance yourself and step down, and then you begin to lower yourself down into the water below. Now, it will rise up above your head level by the time you get to the ground. You have to sort of get on the lower levels and then stop shining your light. There is about a 8-inch, like a foot gap between the ceiling and the highest level of the water. And your daughter, as you begin to slide the light across, you can see is over on the far room, which was once like a wine section door, has been converted into a cage. or cell, and she has climbed on top of the bed in there and is barely holding her head above the water. Water is a stretch. You can already feel it beginning to rot and sort of like, chew away at your skin.
That's exactly what I was about to ask. All right, good. Any sign of Billy?
You can swing your light around and cannot see Billy. However, you can call out to your daughter from here.
All right, Esther, I'm coming over. You got Billy down here too?
Billy got taken. Billy got taken up. I don't know where he went. They took him to the other night. I think he got fed to something, Mama.
That's all right, honey. I'm here. We're gonna get you out. I'm gonna swim over to you. All right? Hold on.
She breathes heavily, and you begin to try and swim your way over. And as you do, you feel something brush against your leg.
Oh, I don't have time for that, Dave.
Okay, all right. Well, that's time pressure. Can you go ahead and give me a swim roll?
Ooh, nice.
You begin to... You swim across, but for a moment, there's a splash as your footing slips and you are momentarily dunked under the water. You panic and try and heave yourself up above it, but your clothes are heavy and you're certain you feel something slide up and under your shirt, and now there's a pain right around your collarbone of something you're not sure what it is. You resurface, but you can't do a full breath of air because there's only a short gap between yourself and the roof. So as you get up, you can just get a thin gasp and then you're under once more and moving across. You get to the bars, but the door is locked, leading to your daughter. She, seeing you and desperate for human connection, pushes off the bed towards the cellar bars and reaches through to grab at you. But she's now holding herself up from the inside as well as she cries out, "I tried to get through the lock, but I can't get it to open."
All right. Jax doesn't know enough about guns of this era. Do they work underwater?
Once, maybe.
They don't make them like they used to. Heck. Dr. Coombs, are you a gentleman or ain't you? Get down here.
I will start running down. I pause only to yell to Wilson, "Get the other two!" And yeah.
I was just about to say, Arthur and Carl, you can both hear this. You've successfully killed the current, sent it back and forth and racing, and everything's popped and vomited. You step back outside to avoid the stench. Arthur, you have a pile of notes that you've just jammed into the journal that your husband was working on. You can hear everything. Shortly after, all of you can enter into the house. Arthur and Carl, as you step inside and hear the sound of meat ripping and get the impression of the house being some sort of organic thing, I'm going to need each of you to make sanity rolls for me, please.
Oh, I hate this.
Here we go.
Okay. Now, you're not actually witnessing it, so it's going to be a D4 for each of you. You don't see the tongue having a big slurp, but you're aware that everything just kind of sucks. Okay, if everyone's still above there and deaf, muted, but you can join at the top of the stairs and all decide what you want to do.
We all started with 40. John definitely is 8. I've hit 30. Right. So I am definitely.
You are in deaf? Okay. In that case,
I think I went temporarily in the first,
I don't
couple rolls.
remember.
So,
you have to remind me.
Yeah, because you went, you copped a bit.
That's why I'm being so
died.
obsessive about this whole thing. Is the obsession and the paranoia kicked in, and that's why that's the starting point. So yes, indefinitely.
Terrific. In that case, Arthur, I'll get you to roll a D10 for me. But Carl, you emerge onto the scene, and all of you, but Arthur, who will determine what's about to happen,
bit of a shudder, might have a bit of a vom, and then continue.
Crack.
I'm calling out. I need a key for a cage. They probably keep it up near the door there.
I'll have launched myself down. I'm not a good spot hit now. I've launched myself down. If I can throw out a thing, maybe I splash for a second in the water. I can feel the corrupting quality of this. I am a doctor. I'll yell, "There's no way a lock can survive this kind of acid. Just wrench the door. Both of you wrench the door."
All right, honey. On 3, 2, 1, we're going to pull it. Wait, which way does it open? I'm going to figure out which way it opens.
It'll open towards you.
Arthur, help me find the key. How's Arthur doing?
As you look across to Arthur, you are in a different time. You're with your husband.
Must be nice.
And you've been invited to a pleasant evening dinner event. You're looking around this place and you've shut down all the horror of it. You're seeing, the tables are set. These people here are other guests, and you are so just removed from here. I mean, even just your husband's recent passing was enough to shake you. Everything you've seen since then has only made it so much worse. That said, you're still sort of here.
This is bullshit. How come I get special treatment?
I think you mean Arthur.
Arthur.
I am going to turn to the nearest, candelabra, coat rack, something that looks vaguely upright, and I am going to start having a pleasant conversation with it, like a dinner time conversation, as though I am talking. It could be a picture on the wall, doesn't matter. Others just turned around and is having a conversation, quite an engaged conversation about something in the politics of probably about 10 years ago or so, with an inanimate object, and is just completely out of it.
Terrific.
Arthur is not going to help us. Arthur has gone cuckoo.
Great. I'm halfway down the stairs. I spin around. I've yelled my thing. I start going back up. I actually have psychoanalysis. I can help you.
Oh, hey, nice. Okay. Yep.
I will look for the key.
Okay.
Just in case the wrenching of the gate does not work, I look for the key.
All right, Carl, I will ask you to make a spot hidden roll. Dr. Coombs, if you can give me a psychoanalysis, and Maureen, if you can give me a strength roll.
Can I push the spot hidden?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Hang on, don't do it just yet. Let's get the strength roll, and then we'll set stakes, and you can decide if you want to.
Okay.
Because I suspect it's you going into other rooms and isolating yourself. The classic.
Davey, are you familiar with the display of humans known as hysterical strength?
I am.
Commonly witnessed by mothers who are trying to protect their daughters.
Yeah, absolutely.
All humans are stronger than we actually are, but our body automatically puts a limit so we don't injure ourselves. But in times of extreme success, like when a parent is rescuing their child, the body will shut down those inhibitions and go full ham, even if that causes injury.
Yeah, hell yeah.
If there was any time I can get a bonus die on a strength roll, I think this must be it.
Not the bonus dice, but you can absolutely push it.
Heck you.
Heck you.
Push.
Before you do it, so here's it.
Too late. Give me anything you. I was gonna take anything.
Yeah, I knew you were. I knew you were.
This is Mama Bear. I would have taken.
Jackson damn near rolled that
I would have
before.
taken anything. But it's an extreme success.
I see it. I see it.
Do you still take damage? Because that's essentially you are pushing beyond your limits. Would you still take damage for that? Maybe less than if you had actually failed. But
probably tomorrow.
Get down and under the bar, and you haul on it. And actually, your daughter's close proximity makes it. You're urgent and everything, but you actually tell her to push away. And on the second time, you submerge yourself down underneath this horrible water, plant your feet on the other side of the bars, and wrench backwards. It begins to scream, the lock, as it dissolves in this acidic water, and suddenly it breaks and is pulled outwards, and your daughter's able to swim down and join you. As you scoop up under her and claw your way back towards the surface and hold her up, you will soon realize that your palms have just been shredded in the event of basically this rusted metal, and whatever that water bile was has just charred it away. Additionally, you can continue to feel quite a sharp piece of pain coming from your collarbone, but your daughter is removed from it and hauled up towards the stairs where the others can join her. Now, Carl, you will hear the door opening. It's up to you if you want to push this and continue to hunt around for the keys, checking other rooms.
No. I'm going to go get Maureen and the little girl, and I'm going to yell at our good doctor. Arthur is cuckoo, but I think the girl may be actually hurt.
Nathaniel, you focus on Miss Priestley, and you are able to you can nullify this. What does it look like as the two of you?
I have a pitch. I get up. I see this conversation happening. I start going through my head all these different textbooks, techniques. It's going to take months of therapy. I don't have time for this. I hold up my gun and I shoot the candelabra. And if we flash to the scene, like just this person gets shot. It's so jarring. And Arthur, come on!
And it's enough to shake you out of it as the fine person you were talking to his head explodes back in the past. And now you're more sane, somehow.
I mean, I think the shock is enough to temporarily, because I think we've established I'm indefinitely, so this is just paranoia all the way down.
This is we drop you at Arkham on the way home.
Yeah. You have a little stay.
Yeah, I think all that would ostensibly do is break me from that specific reverie enough for me to realize where I am, see that everyone is getting like Maureen and her daughter out, and essentially I will beeline towards pulling, grabbing, and dragging people as far away from this place as possible. I don't want to be here anymore. I have been reintroduced to the madness that is here, or at least the unpleasantness that is here. So my main half sane focus at the moment is get out.
Okay.
And I will drag anyone and everyone with me as I try.
Okay. You try and get out.
Specifically, Esther. I think I would go and help grab Esther and then get her out of the house, because I know that's the main one.
As Esther comes up in Maureen's arms, is sort of dropped onto it, completely bedraggled. She winces in pain, grabs at her stomach, and then holds out to claw at your shirt, Maureen, and she says, Mama, they did something to me. I can still feel it growing. It hurts.
All right. Well, we got a doctor here now. We're gonna get you saved. Dr. Coombs, what do you need to say?
Curls over in pain.
They'll have something. They'll have a room. They'll have something.
For now, just get out of the house. We just need to get out of the house. We'll sort it out in a second.
Doctor, if there's something in this house that's gonna save my daughter, I'd like to find it immediately.
I mean, there was a chair in the shed.
There was.
I think that only did one thing. It was put them in.
We don't know.
It seems to be the same sort of, yeah. It at least would be able to hold something down and work on it.
Yeah.
Could you use it to take it out?
Not anymore, we can't.
Well, we overloaded the system, but the chair is still there, and potentially
there.
Instruments
you could do it manually.
Yeah, we've got the chair, we've got the instruments are all still there.
We got a doctor.
Okay.
We've got a doctor.
The chair, maybe, and then notes. The last thing would be notes. Research anything. If Wilson can carry her over. Maureen, are you hurt?
I'm fine.
I wouldn't give anybody. I'll take her over.
Okay.
I'm going to say I'm fine because I want everyone to be focusing on Esther, but then I'm going to have a look at what's going on in my collarbone.
Yeah, okay, so what happens is Wilson scoops up Esther and heads towards
I'm not
the
leaving
door.
Wilson with the kid. I'm taking the kid.
You go as well, and Dr. Coombs follows after. Arthur, you head out and begin to thumb through the notes, searching for something frantically. When a lot of the electrical stuff that was brought in was done by Sedgwick after Hawks passed. When Hawks first started experimenting, this was all done manually, and you just need to find how they did it then and where those supplies are kept. I am going to ask for probably a language English test to go through this as quickly as possible and locate the appropriate information. It should be equal to your education level, I believe. Or is it intelligence, Jim?
It's education.
It's education,
It's education. Which is,
Dr. Coombs and
one of
Carlton.
my best skills.
Nice.
Yes. With that, you're able to thumb through it, and you find a reference by Sedgwick of the old stuff being taken to another shed, and you can charge towards that to go and get some extra supplies so that the process can be done manually. You also, as you go through this and put a thumb across it, the basic thing seems to be one of these parasites is fed or feeds upon a person and draws out their prosperity, their luck, their ability, their natural lifespan, stores it, and then it can be passed along to someone else. They were draining good fortune. They were draining your potential to feed it to themselves and become better than. And currently, poor Esther is being pulled away.
Is there
Sucked to nothing.
anything? Is there anything in the notes that talks about how it is transferred to someone else?
That would have
Theoretically, yeah.
It's basically that was what the machine they had back there. The one in the room that you're taking Esther to now was how they transferred it out. Basically, the parasite is taken in those stomach mouths they've got. We're latching onto it and drawing it inwards. There is also, once again, the manual process for doing that, but it's pretty sketchy. But you could try
You need
for
to
it.
have a stomach mouth to do it.
That's how they've adapted to do it presently with basically this is their new ritual. There was
okay,
older
but
ones
there
where they
was a-
basically like de-fed it, as they like basically pushed it into it and drew upon it. It's right.
Okay,
It's on
well-
that. It's the classic like half science, half magic kind of bullshit. Like there's
Yeah,
some
that's
levels
fine.
you go like that
I
doesn't
think
make sense.
that's what he
But
was
The main thing
referring
is
to about it going wrong
Yeah.
was when the
Yeah.
stomach mouth thing happened.
what I'm essentially trying to do is give the doctor the best possible opportunity of retrieving this thing.
Yeah.
And then, if possible, essentially feeding Esther's prosperity back to her.
to her.
If that's possible.
Yeah.
And that's what have made a note of, and I will go and try and find this other shed with other stuff.
100%.
In it.
Okay, so you study the notes and then head off towards the other shed. Dr. Coombs and Carl and Wilson take Esther and begin to get her settled in, and Dr. Coombs begins prepping for what's happening next. Maureen, when you have a brief moment, you sort of like undo the top shirt and pull it down, and where you definitely felt something latch onto your collar, there is now a patch of sort of grayish skin, and you're pretty sure you can feel something inside
Good.
beginning to move
Good.
its way down your chest.
Good.
You are going to take a D3 of damage as this thing burrows inside and begins to seek lower.
3. Good. First damage
good.
I've taken all scenario. That's fine.
Good.
Good. I'm going to smack it a few times, see if I can kill it.
It is inside you currently.
I understand. I'm going to smack it a few times.
Okay.
See if I can kill it.
Make a medicine roll, I think. Or survival.
Roll.
You can do strength. That would literally be you.
Yeah.
Can you just stick your hand, just rip it out?
It's kind of covered the way. Yeah, actually, there probably is like a thin, like an open wound where it is. You can try and just get your fingers in there and scoop out after it.
Yeah, just squeeze it back out.
Yeah. Go for a. I think survival or first aid. I could justify here.
You've got survival,
I like
don't you?
survival.
I like survival too. I think that's
100%.
good.
Just like a tapeworm, just like a leech.
Yeah.
You need to know how to get them off.
Or don't you?
It pushes further, and as you like lean against it, you feel an acute sense of pain as it sort of
Staple.
slides, thinning itself to weave between muscles and head deeper into your body.
What would pushing this roll look like?
Pushing this roll would probably be taking a knife to your own chest and opening it and chasing in after it. It would be fairly extreme.
But survivable if it goes wrong.
Yeah, you'll take damage.
How much damage does a knife
You are
do?
probably
Not
taking
much.
damage regardless. Yeah, but this is you jamming it in and slicing open. This is probably a D4 damage even if you succeed, and if you fail D4 damage but nothing happens, and if you fumble this or it goes further, even worse. Yeah.
The obvious thing just to mention is that we have other medical means, but they may be spent on Esther right now. So
And that's exactly
certainly
what I
aware
want.
of, but yeah.
That's why I waited for everyone to scarper before I looked at what was going on with me.
Oh, I'm also gonna need you to make a sanity roll while this is happening, Maureen.
Yeah, no shit.
That's
she's
fine.
good, she's
I'm in
fine.
You're
control.
good. No points. You go. This sucks, but I'm in control. All right. Do you want a knife party?
Do I? I mean, patching up a stab wound is a lot easier than taking this parasite out. So if I can do that, that's the hard thing. And it's the kind of thing where you got to do it quick, right? Like every minute a waste
Yeah.
is it getting harder to get out. So yeah, I think let's go to town.
Okay.
Let's get to business.
You lean up
Yeah.
against one of the walls, pull out a small switchblade, and leave it on the inside, and then plunge it into your own chest. Go ahead and make a push that survival roll.
Oh my god.
And I have 3 points of
Nope.
luck left, and I cannot spend
Unfortunately,
them.
on the push roll, it won't. You plunge it down and let out a coughing yelp of pain. Blood spills across it, and the thing makes the final push to nestle amongst your organs, and you begin to feel like a wave of, well, first of all, it's disgusting this thing is inside you, but also like nausea or it's like lethargy. Waves go over you, and you feel as this thing swells up. Go ahead and take a d4 damage, and it's still very much a part of your system.
Number 3.
All right. Where you can return shortly after. Dr. Coombs, Carl, and Wilson take Esther into the workshop where she can be strapped in.
Really bad. I'm sorry.
It super does.
I found one of
Really
these.
bad.
It's somebody. That's okay.
I'm gonna point out all the shit
Yep.
and just real quick rundown. This is what that is. This is what that is. This is. We think that's what this is. Overloaded the current. Nothing electrical is going to work. Those things are all. Well, I mean, they're stains of like greasy smears on the inside of the canisters. They were parasites, not anymore. Sorry about the smell. Where is Maureen? I'm going to find Maureen.
You can head back for Maureen, and at the same time,
find her.
Arthur can join with the manual tools. And you do some like basic prep stuff, get ready to work, and Arthur can return with a basic process for how to go through this. Basically, this thing has wormed its way down into the abdomen, then swells up as it draws out prosperity, and can be removed. However, based on the steps listed, they have done this a number of times. In fact, these things have been fed on to people in the Hooverville that you live in. This is how they have drained other people. This will also prevent itself as that wasting sickness that took Harold Priestley if it is left too long. That was what you found when you saw the small egg sacs left over it, as this thing basically was removed far too late and withered him away to nothingness. You can already begin to see like Esther's skin beginning to crack a little bit and fray. This is going to be a hard medicine roll. However, with these instructions, assistance, everything else factored in, you can do this with a bonus dice, but it is going to be hard.
I lay Esther out down on the chair. I start to bustle around. It's frantic. Whatever composure I did have pretending that I was still a doctor really goes away here, and we get proper like back alley with this as I rush back and forth. I know Maureen and Carl are going to reappear at any point, but I'll go for it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Hard medicine check with bonus dice, 70% in medicine, so 35% chance on the bonus die. Here we go.
Oh,
I've got 0 luck.
It's got
I
0
cannot
luck.
push that. Let me start thinking about some push things.
Okay.
Okay.
You begin to go through it. There is absolutely no way you can do this while preserving the parasite. What you can do on that fail is you can kill the parasite, but it's still inside her, and it will then need to be removed later in an operating theater or something. However, that kills any opportunity for like taking the prosperity and putting it back into her.
I think I am yelling this out loud, just narrating my thoughts as I go. Perhaps some of the others will hear this and influence me in a moment. The one thing I'm thinking as a push condition is perhaps you mentioned that we might have been exposed to some kind of level of this. I'm thinking as a cool push, maybe I grab one of those tubes, jab it into one of us, and expend somebody else potentially as a chance to be able to.
Well, Maureen's got one in her currently.
Well, that's what I was gonna say,
If
is
that
that
can be
once we
taken
grab
out, you
Maureen-
can transfer Maureen's prosperity across to her daughter.
because where I'm about to discover Maureen is.
Yeah,
not
Maureen.
in
I
a
guess,
good way.
Carl, as you come out, you see Maureen come out, and she's got a blood stain down the front of her shirt and a knife in her hand.
I too seem to have an unwanted guest, but I would very much like, Doctor, to put all of your efforts into Esther for the moment. You may operate on
what he's
me
going to do,
if
but
and
let
when
me-
she's well.
We've got to get you in there. That's a lot of blood. Come on, dear.
You're helped inside as well.
Into the, yeah.
You don't let the doctor touch me or look at me until Esther's back on her feet.
For expediencies and narrative's sake, perhaps you come in, I'm bustling around in a circle, and I manage to continue and yell everything in a very concise way before I have time to look up and notice. That way
100%.
everyone is on the same.
We're on the same. You're on the
Okay.
same level. So where you currently are, you are looking at it and you go, you don't believe you can remove the parasite. That would be pushing the roll and attempt again. What you can currently do is you're pretty sure you can kill it because you flattened that thing before. They're not particularly powerful. You can flatten it, but you know.
I can kill the parasite, but the damage it's done is in place. I can't reverse that. I could try and I can try again, but that much of a delay is going to do risks. I might lose the chance we have to kill it, and it could stay and present as a wasting sickness. Otherwise, Maureen, my God, Maureen, I can. Well, you understand, right? I can try and transfer it, but I don't know what that means for you. I don't even know if it'll work.
Doctor,
Arthur, do you have the notes?
Yes, I've been assisting the good doctor. Yes, I have notes on what this process would look like. Esther is far more advanced than Maureen, so if we kill the parasite in Esther and have a bit more time to potentially transfer Maureen's prosperity, that would give us some time. Maureen, you are going to feel very unwell and you are not going to get better, but I understand sacrificing things for the ones that you love. So if that is why I'm presenting this option to you, as the doctor has been saying, we cannot give Esther her own prosperity back, but we may be able to help her with yours, assuming that we take this opportunity to kill the one that's in Esther and leave the one in you for the time being.
Also, just one before you go forward with this, you look around us. If this is true, none of us have any prosperity left, but you've been the best person we've met from all this time with all of this prosperity. Before you go sacrificing yourself to try and give this to your daughter, just ask, do we really need it? Now, I know things don't look good here necessarily, but like I said, you're the best damn person I know that I've seen, and if you've got none of it, then you could do far worse than raising a daughter who doesn't have any either.
Kill the parasite, Doctor. And then take it out of me, and let's go from there, one step at a time. But if I know my daughter, wrong accent again, if I do declare, if I know my daughter, then I know that all she needs is a beating heart and breath in her lungs. And then she make her own luck.
Yeah. If this thing is draining her, she's probably got plenty to spare. Okay, I'm taking this thing out, and I pull out like a shoe.
Well, you're killing it. We're not taking it out yet. It's the...
Sorry, poor choice of words. I'm yeeting this thing.
Yeah, you're gonna kill it. I got it. All right. You
squishing it.
Return to your objective and are able to kill the parasite at least. It can then be dealt with later when you have like a proper operating theater or something. And Esther is, drugged lightly and momentarily at least at more ease than she was. What is the intent with Maureen from the get-go? She currently has this thing burrowing inside her. You can attempt to cut it out. You could attempt to lure it out with a more vibrant host, or you could attempt to get it into this machine thing and try and do the transfer. Carl, you could even try and re-get some of it up and going, or you could do the manual way.
The machine's hacked, and I would not like to unhack it. Yeah. I think we keep the machine hacked. We've got the notes for the manual process.
Draw this thing out. I think it's like Maureen said, make our own luck.
Okay.
Where Maureen, at the end of the day, is not the most desirable host. She is A, dying, and B, has already been drained. I reckon Wilson follows orders.
Wilson doesn't want shit to do with any of this. That said, you are right. Wilson has not been subjected to any of this. He probably has the most prosperity to be drawn from. If you could tempt the parasite to go to him, it would probably prefer him as a target.
That's exactly it. To go towards it. It's not going to touch him. We're going to kill it.
I'd like to make an offer.
Give it to Esther, aren't we?
A counterpoint. Yeah, the scenario says that everyone in Hooverville has been drained. But then you look at my rolls over the last 3 sessions.
Oh, yeah.
I think Maureen's got luck and prosperity to spare.
I think you've gotten away without it for the most part.
I don't think you could draw it into Wilson. I think it's like having its feet.
It's having a grand old time. Yeah, hell yeah, I love that.
And so yeah, if you can take that out and put it safe, if it's safe to give a little bit back to Esther, then go for it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
It's gonna be another medicine roll as you try and draw it out and complete the process.
No matter how strong the two of you are, no matter how much you've resisted things, I haven't. I'll do my best, but there's a risk.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone accepts the terms. Jim?
You've already saved her, Doctor. Anything here is just icing on the cake.
All right. Well, roll 20. Let's see how friendly you're feeling. What's my bonus dice? Anything?
Yeah, once again, you have the terms. Maureen's willing and able to help you. People set aside and trying to support you in this, but it is still hard. This is so far beyond your training, it's absurd.
I get asked to repeat and repeat and repeat the instructions as hard success.
Off the bat.
Dr. Coombs is through some, touch of God in his element and is able to coax the abomination back out of Maureen's wound. It's almost fortunate that you cut it further with the knife, Maureen, because when it comes back out, this thing is swollen again to the size of like a sort of thing, quite stretchy, and you're able to quickly catch it in one of the jars and then attempt to do the same manual thing that the others did, if you wish, to transfer the power and luck away from Maureen and into Esther. You have the notes here and you succeeded the medicine roll. If you want to do this, I'm happy for it to go through. You begin to drain the thing and it's pushed out and into the daughter.
At this stage, I'll say one last time. I'm being sort of flipping into follower mode, just like Wilson did. And I'll just say we don't know what the long-term effects of this could be. Everyone we've seen with this augmentation has been monstrous, literally.
We're not giving her a mouth or anything. We're just that was a malfunction of the machine.
Is that right? We're not giving her a mouth. We're not giving her like a parasite.
No,
we're just like
unless she wants to
It's
drain
just the
more
juice.
people in future. Yeah,
Right?
just the juice.
It's just the juice.
Just the juice.
It's just
Just
the
the
juice.
luck juice.
And speaking of
Just
which,
putting the luck juice back, the mouth thing, the monstrosity. That was a malfunction of the machine using the. It won't happen.
Right?
It was ostensibly an improvement that they made to make the process more automatic, but it is not essential. They were doing it manually, which was more difficult and not as. It's all here, but no, the mouth is not essential. It's just easier for them in large terms.
that's right.
My daughter's been through quite a lot in the last day. It's gonna follow her through the rest of her life. So the least I can do is give her a leg up. It's also gonna follow her.
All right, Maureen. I'll do it.
Move it across. Mechanically, Maureen, you lose a d6 from every attribute but size as it is drawn into the parasites. And based on the success, at least a portion of that will flood across to Esther. It is not a one-to-one conversion. More is being lost than is being gained.
Of course.
But she will hopefully come out of this stronger, or at least not as badly damaged as she could have been. Now, we're gonna widen out a little bit. You've saved your daughter and you've shot the hell out of one of these members of the Midas Circle. You've begun to understand just what they were doing, creeping into a slum late at night to take what little people had to empower themselves and allow them to overcome the current situation. There are still others out there, and there is also this house that has begun to turn into something other. Thumbing through the notes, Arthur, and studying them, you begin to come to the conclusion that this house is in some way Hawks, having been drawn into the other dimension through some experiment gone wrong and attempting to push his way back into this reality, now completely mad and seeking only to devour so that he can have a physical form once more. Left to his own devices, eventually it probably will consume enough to re-manifest. What do the four of you do in the coming hours and days?
Burn the house down.
Yeah, there's just, is there any, fertilizer or
There's gasoline they were using to fuel the generators.
Right. I'm going to, I've taken as many photographs as I think I can for the purposes of recording things, whether they actually show anything or are purely just weird images that most people would be like, this is just an image of a weird house. Yeah, I'm going to recommend and assist with the burning down of the house.
Okay. Fantastic.
And its surrounds.
All right. Does anyone
sheds,
do
stuff.
anything beyond that? Is anyone pocketing a small piece to do horrible? We can follow that with an epilogue, actually. What we see from the get-go is the four of you moving around the house and dousing it with gasoline. It spills across the floors, and some of you with your previous connections to the home occasionally recall back to, you know, late night conferences or meetings with friends here, but eventually matches are flicked into it and the property is engulfed in flame. The scent that comes from it is burning wood and charred flesh, and the house screams and writhes as it burns, but eventually will fall to ash. From here, you can return to your homes and attempt maybe to resolve the Midas Circle, but we'll handle that kind of in epilogues with each of you. Jim?
I just wanted one last thing. As we're standing watching the house burn, I'll quickly say, you know, there's a Mark Twain quote I think applies to you, Maureen. My mother had a lot of trouble with me, but I think she enjoyed every moment of it.
I love it.
Quite right. I was muted when I said that. Sorry. I said quite right.
Okay.
Quietly.
We'll step away and pass across to each of the investigators to provide a short wrap-up for their characters. What happens from here? Now, you've stopped the Midas Circle's access to these experiments, but they are still lucky people looking to make their own way in the world. Do you deal with them, or do you just try and keep your heads down and struggle forward? Does anyone want to kick us off?
Well, was Hawks still employed at the university when he went missing?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, this was kind of before the depression really kicked off.
Yeah. So there might be if his house is burned down, he's not coming back. Declare him dead. Maybe take his job.
Okay.
But also, as we're moving through the house, setting things on fire, there's something that is expensive. You know, the money.
What, cars?
And I did take money from the last house.
You did.
as well.
You did.
I've nicked kind of a lot of shit at this point, so
Yeah.
I might have a little bit of cash to get me.
I
want Hawks' job.
So, you take some bits and pieces. You try and get everything that will give you some leg up, and you still find that because so much has been taken from you, everything is against your favor. The small money you have quickly tumbles away into just day-to-day expenses. The university, you struggle to get them to give you the time of day. A career is almost impossible to refinangle. I will get you to make a roll for me, please, Alex, to see if you can parlay this recent success into something longer term. And I also ask you, do you take up any of Hawks' study?
Ooh.
I mean, this does show some evidence of alternate
It
dimensions.
does work, and I am intrigued, but I am also disgusted.
Yeah, that's fair.
Horrified.
Yeah.
It's an abomination, but I think if there's anything of his that he discovered with the alternate dimensions that will help me with my mundane work, I think I would, anytime I think if there is a career here for Carl, anytime he goes anywhere near any sort of physics that would suggest at alternate dimensions, he just does like a swerve and he's like,
nope.
No.
Not today.
Nope.
Do you want to give us a closing? I could see like a physics roll or a... Actually...
Let me roll physics.
Yeah, physics. Okay, go physics. One of the ones I was going to pitch, everyone rolls luck to see how things pan out. Okay, yeah, you're able to...
good physicist.
For a short period at least, you're able to get yourself back up. And then as the world, as the years roll on and the depression begins to recede, you will be able to find a way to get a leg back up.
Wow. The war starts.
Yeah, and then things go really poorly again. And you're in the
Good.
physics department, so there's all sorts of, great things coming down the line for you as well. Yippee dip.
Do you know what has nothing to do with alternate dimensions?
What's that?
The hydrogen bomb.
Well, good. And from one horror to another. All right, terrific. That's Carl. Who else wants to have a crack?
financially fine, emotionally wrecked.
The old one too.
I'll jump in. I think that Dr. Coombs is a doctor, and I've made this joke that he's still holding on to something. He's still desperate to push himself forward. But now he actually knows why it all happened. And it brings him an immense amount of relief. If there's one thing he knows as a doctor, it's injury. And he doesn't have to have this disconnect between his station where he should be, because he understands, oh, I was injured. It might have been a weird injury, one that wasn't necessarily understood, but that's okay. People who are injured, people who, it doesn't matter necessarily. You can just have a wonderful life. So he just adjusts his expectations.
Yeah.
He adjusts his goals. He doesn't try to get back his old job. He goes and he makes a new life for himself, living within all of this has been taken from him, but he doesn't need it. So I don't go after the Mitre Circle because I'm busy with my much smaller aspirations of, less
survival,
massive prosperity, but probably more genuine happiness.
That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah. And you can kind of, return to what you're doing at the beginning of just sort of helping people, things like that. Okay. Terrific. Arthur or Moraine? Arthur, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Arthur, I mean, after all this is done, Arthur's not in best mental state, so unless he gets some assistance, probably insisted upon by the good doctor, he will kind of recede away from society. What he does have to contend with is that his husband was right, and he didn't believe it initially. And I think that obsession and that the paranoia is what pushes him a little ways away from people. I think he still takes calls from the others if they choose to come and see him, but for everyone else, he fervently does not trust anyone. And I think his obsession manifests in kind of picking up where Harold left off.
Yep.
And he dedicates himself to taking all of the notes that were gathered and using all of those plus what we saw to red string out the full conspiracy, spends a huge amount of his time on this until he feels that he has something that properly represents everything that's going on. Fills journals upon journals, probably, I don't know if he has the capacity to extend out the research, but definitely kind of extends out the hypothesis of this is where other stuff goes. If there are avenues for him to explore as an investigative journalist, if there are places that he can get more information, he just kind of becomes a hoard of information for this type of thing. And I think that the thing that you would probably be left with is him in his little room. I think similarly to the doctor, he does accept that Hooverville is where he is going to be. He doesn't try to get out of that situation, but what his aim is to kind of expose everyone who was exploiting that situation.
Yeah.
And trying to find a way to do it that isn't mad. I don't think he succeeds. But he, if you can imagine a kind of very pale, thin, hunched over man over a desk with papers on the wall, string between them, just strewn everywhere, journals upon journals of writings in front of a small candle. And as he's sort of muttering away to himself, you realize he's having a conversation. He's having a conversation with someone who's just kind of standing kind of nearby. And the sort of continued confused muttering is, you're quite right. Quite right, Harold. Quite right. I think this is an avenue we should go down next, definitely. And that is pretty much his life at that point, is obsessive gathering, and not quite being able to no longer being able to exist in this world fully is definitely lent towards living more in a fantasy unreality that he's not quite willing to face.
A reasonable conclusion. Yeah, exactly.
The sort of muttering to Harold and rubbing that wedding ring that he has around his neck as he sort of writes. So, consider the mad writings of Arthur Priestley as potentially a mythos tome that will show up at some point with all of this information in it. None of which is coherent. I don't think he gets better.
I dig it. All right, and finally, Maureen.
Yeah, well, what was keeping Maureen here was Esther, but also like what was keeping her here was her old house and or her old friends that she used to know here in whatever this town was called, somewhere in Massachusetts, right? Crowley.
Yeah, one of those. Crowley.
But
Crowley.
Having like seen the place where her significant place, the place where she met her husband, turn into a monster, and having been shown that the terrible things that happened to her here were not her fault, and it was a medical procedure that took a fortune away. I don't think there's anything left for her. So I think she's going to take Esther and get out of Dodge, out of town, like follow the wind. But also because Esther's been given this second chance, and so the best possible, like we need to give Esther the opportunity to take her good fortune and make a fresh start for herself. And beyond that, I feel like the epilogue isn't mine to tell, because it's Esther's story now.
Love that. Yeah, might be the one that gets through. All right, fantastic. With our, foreign get investigators scarred, but having survived the attacks of the Midas Circle, they return to their lives and attempt to find something in the rubble. And hopefully some of them can get out, or at least the next generation can benefit from the heroic actions taken here today. That is the conclusion of Bleak Prospect. Maybe not so bleak in the end. Although probably yes. We will park our scenario and session there. Yeah, cheers all. And we will return, thank you, next week with Amaranth and Desire, which Jackson's gonna run. Different keeper on the stream. Hell yeah.
Outstanding. Maybe we should keep that going.
Yeah. Yeah, hey.
I can't wait. It'll be a good time. Come on back to 1895. We'll be smugglers off the coast of England trying to get a shipment of hooch and tobacco in through the storm of the North Sea. A good time.
Amazing.
Can't wait. So tune in next week as we launch into that scenario, and we hope we'll see you all there. Catch you soon.